Yes.
And a year or so ago, you wanted to purchase a car. You didn't have good credit. You had saved the down payment. How much had you saved?
$1,500.
So according to your complaint, you asked your mother if she would put the car in her name. She had better credit?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of work do you do?
Housekeeping.
And you?
I'm a server.
Your daughter gave you the down payment for the car?
Yes.
And then something happened and you had an issue?
Yes, she had.
When your mother lived with you, who paid the rent?
I did.
What did your mother contribute?
Nothing.
Why?
Because I didn't ask her to.
How long did she live with you and contribute nothing?
About a month.
What was the argument about?
I had a friend of mine use the car, and she got mad about that because he wasn't on the insurance, but the car had full coverage insurance, so it was ridiculous for her to even get mad because the car was fully covered.
But that's what the argument was about?
Yes.
So she left and she took the car?
Yeah.
And you want your down payment back?
Yes, ma'am.
She gave me the down payment to help me, and I don't feel it's ridiculous that a 19-year-old was driving the car. He's not responsible if it would have got wrecked.
How old are you?
Me, I'm 54.
Why would you ask your daughter to give you money to buy a car to help you?
Because I've taken...
Children, that's not the way it works.
It
taken
trickles
care of
down.
her
Daughter. We both lived in Florida for quite a few months, and I had her daughter the whole time except for 4 days.
What does that have to do with a down payment on a car?
Because I needed help, and she tried to help me. There was no, you're going to goodness of her
you're
heart.
not following, my dear. There was no discussion about getting the money back. It was a clear understanding that it was her car.
It's in my name. I have all the paperwork.
I don't care if it's in your name. The clear understanding was it was her car. And if she had bad credit, who was making the payments on the car?
I made the payments on the car.
Is that correct?
She took the car a week after we purchased it. So I didn't have the chance to make a payment.
Is that correct that you took the car a week after you purchased it? You have to give her back the $1,500 she put into the car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Flanagan, this is your wife, and I believe it was your wife who wanted to take this permanent makeup course. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
You didn't take the course.
That's correct.
Are you a party plaintiff because you provided the funds for the course?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. The defendants run a business. Is that right? Your business to me.
We are an academy that train people how to create the most natural-looking eyebrows through our workshops.
Okay. So you have a training center.
Yes.
And you get prospective students.
Yes.
You advertise for those students on the internet?
Yes.
Is that how you found the defendants? On the internet?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can I see a copy of that ad, please?
Most of our internet ads, Your Honor, if I may say, is through our Yelp reviews of students I previously took.
I want to see what they looked at. Do you have what you looked at?
I look on the phone.
What do you mean you looked at
on
the
my iPhone? That's how I found the...
There, you had to have pushed in something to search for something.
So you want me to show you through my iPhone?
Well, get me.
Oh, yes.
Get me what you saw when you applied for this course.
I'm not quite sure what she saw, Your Honor, but
I don't care. She's going to show me what she saw. Oh, I don't want this. I want to see what she saw.
Okay.
I don't want to see your Yelp reviews. Permanent makeup artists, eyebrow services, Evans Legendary Microblading. Is that you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Is this the ad that you saw?
No, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the ad that you saw.
I researched for State Board, and their school comes up.
I'd like to see it.
Thank you.
Evans Beauty College.
We own a beauty college before, Your Honor, but that's not the college that teaches permanent makeup. It's actually our academy.
This is what you saw. Evans Beauty College, cosmetology schools. Okay. Are you located at 77?
That was our location.
I just asked you, are you located at 7 Boulevard?
Yes.
That's where your business is. How long has it been there?
That location was there for 3.5 years.
Is it still there?
Actually sold it last month, that location.
How many locations do you have?
2.
Are you board certified, licensed by any governmental agency?
Absolutely.
Which governmental agency?
For our college, let me differentiate between the two. There is a difference. The beauty college side trains everybody in cosmetology, manicuring, esthetician, electrology. Those were certified by State Board of California, as well as the BPB, which certifies all the schools. For our permanent makeup course, it's regulated by a different agency. It is the health department.
Okay. Do you have a certification for the health department?
Yes, we do.
From the health department for this location where she went?
She was being...
Which location?
It is at 133, which is our permanent makeup center.
Okay. Do you have a picture of that location? Because bottom line in this case is you were dissatisfied with the service. You want your money back for the course. There's a cross-complaint for harassment and defamation. I'd like to see this certification. On what date did you meet either the defendant or, what's your last name?
My last name, McMegan.
Were you the one who trained her?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have to be independently certified? In addition to the school, are you licensed by anyone?
Yes, ma'am.
By whom?
By
Well, this is a business license for permanent makeup, and it says that you can operate a permanent makeup business, and this is from the health department.
over there. The city permit and healthcare department permit also.
And Ms. McMegan, it says that you are the owner of this, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. On what date did you meet them?
August 26, 2016.
Did you sign a contract?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to take a look at it.
This is the original contract.
You wanted to learn how to do permanent makeup.
Microblading, Your Honor.
Microblading. Explain what the difference is to me.
Microblading is a tool that we manually draw the eyebrows.
Okay. And the total cost was $2,200.
Yes, Your Honor.
Enrollment agreement starting from August 29th to graduate August 31st. So it was a 2-day course?
It's a 3-day course.
3-day course. You started on the 29th, 30th, 31st. So it's a 3-day course for $2,200.
Yes, ma'am.
That was discounted, Your Honor.
I don't care.
Yeah.
3-day course, $2,200. And you signed this.
Yes, Your Honor.
And at the bottom, it says that you understand that it's a non-refundable on all charges and fees, including training, products, and materials. You understand? And you started the course on August 29th.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you go back on August 30th?
Yes, Your Honor.
From what time to what time?
From 10 o'clock until 5.
That's on both the 29th and the 30th?
I look back on my record. It's actually on the 30th. I did not go to school on the 29th. I'm so sorry.
So you went to school on the 30th?
Yes.
Did you go to school on the 31st?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's not true, Your Honor. She did attend 8/29th.
Well, she signed it on the 29th.
She signed the agreement on the 20th.
She actually signed it on the 26th.
Yes.
Yes.
August 26th. And it says that you were supposed to start on the 29th. He
Because
says
I
you
had
went.
to work on the 29th.
Well, that's your problem. That's not his problem.
But also, State Board, usually most of those cosmetology schools, they close on Sunday and Monday.
You have a contract. This is your contract. Your contract said you were supposed to start on the 29th and be finished on the 31st. So you didn't go on the 29th. According to you, they said you went. But according to you, you didn't go on the 29th.
Yes.
You went on the 30th and you went on the 31st.
Yes.
And then what happened?
The reason I chose their school is because cosmetology is always licensed by the state. Therefore, I learned from the hygiene and the theory and also the method to doing. However, when I was there, all I was viewing was her doing the actual work. Quite frankly, my main focus is to learn about the skin anatomy, analyzing the skin of the client in order to produce and provide the right chemical pigment to the skin. And also, the hygiene there was so questionable, even the first day.
That's not true.
And also, I question it also because it was done on me, and I closed my eyes. I didn't see any of this, but the video would show their performance. There are 2 videos that I'd like for you to see.
I'm going to take a look at the videos, but
Thank you.
I'll tell you right now, you signed a contract all 3 days because if you chose not to go on the 29th, that's your problem. You went on the 30th, you went on the 31st. When you finished on the 31st, did you get any sort of certificate?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing.
None.
Does it say you're supposed to? Okay. Did you bring a live model?
Yes.
You did. Who?
Maria?
And did you work on her?
No, Your Honor.
You did not.
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
Because when I'm supposed to have be certified, trained with a BBP, which is bloodborne pathogens, trained, but I was not.
Where does that say that here?
That's a lie.
Shh, just a second. Where does it say that?
State, before you perform any of that procedure, you have to be certified, trained.
Well, then it says student must bring 1 live model during this 3-day period or a $50 fee if the school provides 1 model.
I under impression that to provide the model so she can train on the model for me to see.
Oh, well, I don't know what the impression is. This is your contract. All right, I'll take a look at her video.
As you can see, that when you perform this procedure, you're supposed to wear clients. And I did not see this because that's me lying there. And this is another documentation, as you can see. This is actually Yvonne, which is the defendant, is doing the work.
Is that it? Is there something else?
Something's wrong with that because it's over 2 minutes. It's on my phone, Your Honor.
Okay. Find it on your phone. I'll take a look at it. On what date, by the way, did you get your eyebrows done? On the 30th or the 31st?
I want to say on the 31st.
On what date did she get her eyebrows done? Do you know?
No.
The 30th or the
know.
31st? You did her eyebrows.
We think
I don't know.
it was we don't know who it
This is the same. This
might
is
be one of the students that she got it
first
done by.
one.
You mean one of the other students? You didn't do it.
I did not do it.
There are two videotapes.
Listen to me.
I'm sorry.
Who did your eyebrows?
No, I had it before.
What?
No, erasing the eyebrows.
Did
I have-
anyone at the defendant's school touch your eyebrows?
Yes,
Who?
Yvonne.
What did she do?
She tried to show another student how to erase the eyebrows.
How
The
to
previous-
erase your eyebrows?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. On what date?
I want to say the 31st.
Well, so let me ask you this question. After you 29th and 30th, or just the 30th, and saw these conditions that you have described to me, and you went back on the 31st, not only did you go back on the 31st, but you went back on the 31st, and you let the defendant work on you. Is that correct? I'm trying to follow you. After you saw the way the school was run, which according to you didn't like, on either the 29th and 30th or just the 30th, you went back on the 31st, and not only did you go back on the 31st, which was the last day of your course, but according to you, you allowed the defendant to work on you. Am I getting that right?
On the 30th, my first day, it was on the fake skin. But that's all I was doing on the 31st.
I don't care what you...
Yes.
You understand what do you understand, sir, what I just said?
I do. I don't think she has witnessed any of these unsanitary conditions on the practice skins on the first day.
I don't know that. All I know is if you're in a school and you're observing in the school, and if you find anything that you feel is unsafe, you don't let the people at the school work on you the next day. And I don't know why your wife didn't go on the 29th. I actually don't think you have a case against them in any event. You have a contract, and your contract says there are no refunds. You went to school on all 3 days, 29th, 30th, and 31st. And I'm including the 29th because you had to go on the 29th because according to you, you were working. So you had the ability to go to a 3-day course. You went for the 3-day course, and now you want your money back.
Your Honor, he forged my signature on the contract.
That's not true. That is not true. Absolutely not true.
Hold on one second.
No,
Hold on
the
one
initial.
second. Hold
The
on.
initial.
Shh, shh. No, he didn't. I'm looking at your signature on the complaint, and I'm looking at the signature on the contract. How would he know what your signature looks like to forge it? But listen to me. How would he know what your signature is like
Yes.
to forge it if he just met you on the 26th?
Because, yes.
They repeatedly lies. Your Honor.
She went there on the 26th. She signed the contract on the 26th. Now she says that it's a forgery. The contract that she signs that you provided to me.
The original is
that you
correct.
provided to me.
That is correct.
Was a forged signature.
No.
Well,
One-
she just a second. She just said to me it's a forged signature.
Original
To
contract.
the credit card company.
I'm talking about. I don't care anything about a credit card company, sir.
Okay.
I care about the contract.
It is legitimate.
Fine. So your case is dismissed. Now let's get to the counterclaim. Bad review on Yelp.
Not yet, but she's been bad-mouthing us all over the place.
Well, I don't know that. I don't
Yes.
see any witnesses over here to
Correct.
demonstrate
Yeah, I
that.
agree.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so 3 minutes or less. What's your counterclaim?
Because she came back to my office on the 8th of September,
Okay, on the 8th of September.
and then she wanted to get her money back.
Okay.
I told her, look.
In your office?
Yes, Your Honor. The first thing she does is she went to the school where we were training, and she says she just won a case against somebody at court. I didn't know why she'd tell me that at first. I didn't really think
She
much
never
of it.
what?
She said she just told me. She just told me out of the blue that she just won a court case in court against somebody. So I didn't know what that was referring to, why she told me that. But as soon as we went to my office, which she wanted to talk to me privately, then I realized that this lady was trying to extort money.
What she said to you, sir.
She said that she wants her money back. If I don't, then
She wants her money back because what was the reason she gave?
she didn't give a valid reason. She just
No,
said...
don't tell me valid. Somebody says, I want my money back for the course. I came for 3 days. I was there from 9 to 5 or 10 to 5.
She said she weren't satisfied. She changed her
She
mind.
wasn't satisfied. What did you say to him when you went to his office in the early part of September? You wanted your money back.
The reason I asked for my money back because I asked about the theory of how to deal with the skin, what color, the analogy of the skin of the client. There was no explanation. How can I perform, do the work other than how to stroke on the skin? Hygiene, I came from a cosmetology, and hygiene and protecting my client is the most important thing throughout the whole session.
Your case is dismissed. Listen to me.
Yes, Your
Your
Honor.
case is dismissed.
But-
you have no case against them. Period. End of discussion. Your case is dismissed. I am just listen to me. I am just entertaining their counterclaim against you. Your case is over. You had a contract. You went to the school for 3 days. You're dissatisfied with the school. Give them a bad review. Say, I'm dissatisfied with it. That's what the internet is all about. I wasn't satisfied with their program. But you have a contract that were there. You know, it's like going to a college. You pay the college, I don't know, $25,000 a year to go. And you go, and you really don't like the professors. You don't think that they're quite skilled. You thought that they were going to be a different kind of professor. They turned out to be a graduate student professor, whatever it is. You try going to the registrar's office after you finish the semester and saying, you know, I really wasn't satisfied with the quality of teaching that I had here this semester, so I want my tuition back. Children, many of whom go to college. I actually went to college. There isn't a soul on this earth who would be successful in what you're trying to do at a school level. Well, I didn't have a good time this semester. I want my money back. You didn't teach me this part of history, and I was really interested in this part of history. I went for the semester, but now I want my money back. So let's not discuss it. Come on.
She was giving me hell throughout. Right after that, she just contacting Kimberly via text, threatening her even up to 2 in the morning. I mean, 2:19, and I'm just threatening and harassing us.
Just a second. Harassment is a conclusion. I would just like to take a look at the texts.
This is one of them, Your Honor.
No. I want to see the texts.
The
Yes,
text
This is harassment.
Yeah.
in the 2 a.m.
Okay. You have a dissatisfied customer. That happens in business. Your counterclaim is also dismissed. We're finished. Thank you.
It's case number 20 on the calendar in the matter of Menz versus Ben Israel.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Menz, the defendant has a house cleaning service company. And according to your complaint, you were an employee of his for some time.
Yes.
You worked at an hourly wage.
Yes.
At some point, you asked him for a raise.
Yes.
Which he reluctantly gave you.
Not
But
true.
according to both of you, because I've read your answer, one of the things, don't tell any of the other employees because I'm giving you a raise, but I'm not necessarily raising their hourly rate. That be a fair statement of what I read in your answer?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that would be a yes. I'm giving you a raise. Don't tell anybody else.
Yeah.
Now, I guess I'm going to start with you, Mr. Ben Israel.
Awesome.
First of all, you have a counterclaim.
Yeah.
Because she says you owe her wages, that you fired her. And when you fired her, there was an outstanding bill that you had for her hourly wage. What your service does, if I'm not mistaken, is you have clients.
Yep.
And your clients hire your company to provide people to clean their homes.
Correct.
$10 an hour.
Right.
You pay your employees $15 an hour. You make $10 an hour.
Right.
Your counterclaim is twofold in her request for her last paycheck. One, you say she has some of your cleaning equipment.
Correct.
Now, I'm not an idiot, and this is not show and tell. I assume that's his cleaning stuff.
That is.
Officer Byrd, would you, before you get to 6 across, would you take this and send it over
It's
to the
also the
defendant?
uniform.
Just a second. He's sending it. Thank you. I thought that was funny, Byrd.
It was hilarious. It was 6 down.
Now you have Mr. Ben Israel. That's what she has that belongs to you. The second part of your complaint is that you... Just a second. The second part of your complaint is that you lost a customer. And the customer that you lost was a customer that Miss Menz had been working for. And she canceled her service with you after you fired Miss Menz. So another part of your counterclaim is for slander and loss of business.
Yeah.
Do you have that person with you? The answer is yes or no.
Do I have what person?
The person who fired you.
No, I do not.
Well, so that you have no cause of
I
action.
have an email associated with her.
Firing you?
Yeah, the client not wanting to hire.
I would like, just a second, even though it's hearsay, I'm going to read it and see whether I think there's anything slanderous, like you have a sexually transmitted disease or you are a pedophile or something, or whether she's just saying he's a dishonest businessman who didn't pay me my last week's salary check. Okay.
No, that's from a client.
You mean the email part where she says that the plaintiff said that you were refusing to pay her overtime, so she's no longer working for Pure Clean? I want to be clear.
Yeah.
This is what you say is slander.
Well, her conversation with that client about a statement that was not true is essentially why we got fired. So she
Just a second. What does essentially not true mean?
Okay, it's not true.
What's not true?
The statement of her not getting paid overtime. By the state of Minnesota, she wasn't even entitled to overtime.
Just a second. That's not slander. So your counterclaim's now dismissed.
But she...
Listen to my words. This didn't say we're firing your firm, Mr. Ben Israel, because the person who's operating the firm is a pedophile. He's a thief. He employs any of those things that are illegal or anything gross, right? She said she had a salary dispute with you because you were refusing to pay her overtime. And the question about whether she was entitled to overtime is a question of fact. So she's allowed to say to the people that she was working for, I got fired because I asked for overtime and he refused to pay me overtime and therefore he fired me. She's allowed to say that. So what I'm telling you is you have no case against her.
Okay.
Period. Now I'm moving forward, Mr. Ben Israel.
It wasn't, according to the state of Minnesota.
I don't care whether
I told
it's
her
according
that she knew...
to the Gospel of St. Paul. It doesn't matter. Do you get it?
No, I don't. Can you
well,
please
then
give me
go to law school. I'm telling you, it's not slander. Now, let's get to whether or not you owe her any money. How long did you work for him?
I worked for him about right after Christmas. I got hired.
Christmas of 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't work for him very long?
No, I did not.
Okay. The period of time for which you claim you were not paid is from when to when?
Okay, so 3/12/18 to 3/16.
3/12 through
my last day of 4/19. So he was short on multiple pay periods. So I didn't get PEC at all.
All I want to know is when you didn't get paid at all.
Okay.
I'm not interested in short.
So
do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not
so
interested
my
in short
last
because you didn't.
I'm sorry.
Because you did in fact go back to work, even though you were short $12, $8, $16. I'm not adding up those numbers. I want to know when he didn't pay you, from when to when.
Okay, it's 4/9 all the way to 4/19.
And you were paid by check?
Yes, personal check.
Personal check?
Yes.
Why do you pay with a personal check if you're a company, Mr. Ben Israel?
She get paid with a company check. I don't have my checkbook with me.
I have copies of checks.
Just a second. Why wouldn't you bring that?
Why would I not bring my checkbook?
Yeah, if you're coming here today and the dispute is over salary, why wouldn't you bring your checkbook?
Because I had no intent to write a check, but it's her burden. She's supposed to prove that I didn't write a check.
This is evidence. We're not talking about burden. I wasn't asking you to write a check. I was asking you to show me that you paid her from 4/9 to 4/19.
So...
Not so. I want you to show me that you paid her. That would require your check. She can't show me...
She's supposed to be disputing overtime.
No, I'm not talking about overtime.
That's her claim.
No. Listen to me.
That's her claim.
No, listen to me carefully. From 4/9 to 4/19.
Yeah.
And she wasn't paid. I haven't discussed the hourly yet. She can't show me what she doesn't have. You can show me that she was paid from 4/9 to 4/19. And that would require you showing me your checkbook or a copy of a canceled check. Do you understand?
This is her copy of her timesheet. And that's
all right, now let's go to her timesheet.
There you go.
Did she work on 4/9?
Yes, she did.
Did she work on 4/10?
Yep.
4/11?
Yes.
When was the next day she worked?
The 12th.
When was the next day she worked?
The 13th.
And when was the next day she worked?
The 16th.
When was the next day she worked?
The 17th.
Did she work on the 19th?
Yes.
Okay, she did not work thereafter. Thereafter, you let her go. Fine. Now, you can show me proof. We're not getting to the amount. Show me proof that you paid her from 4/9 to 4/19. She can't show me what she doesn't have. If you didn't pay her, she can't show me a copy of a check.
Right.
You can show me your checkbook.
So for this pay period, she did not receive her check.
Okay, great. Then.
Because she had a...
just a second. So for this pay period, for all those days, she did not receive her check. And what did you agree to pay her? Just listen to me. When you gave her a raise, what did you agree?
14.
Is that... That is correct. And...
That's all I want to know.
Yes.
$14 per hour. How many hours did you work between 4/9 and 4/19? Just what I love. A case that ultimately involves math.
73.45.
74 hours times.
So part of those hours were deep
equals $1,036.
So with deep cleans, we get $15 an hour. So part of those hours are at $15 an hour.
That's not true.
Just a second. Take a look at your thing. Your thing must show you how many hours were deep clean.
Yeah, she didn't.
Just a second. Show me something, Miss Menz, and I'm getting very bored with this case already. We're at the board line. Show me something in writing that says that you get an extra $1 an hour for deep clean.
So I don't have that.
Just a second. If you say I don't have it, just say I don't have it. I told you I'm getting bored with this already. $1,036 judgment for the plaintiff.
But our text messages.
We didn't go over the defamation of character.
Just a second. Sir.
Our text messages show that I have it says deep clean today.
Pay careful attention to me.
Yes, ma'am.
I asked you to show me something that says that you get paid extra for deep clean.
I have statements saying deep clean, but it doesn't say $1 more. But on
just a second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's it. The answer is no. To show me evidence
You
of
spoke
slander.
specifically about the client, not about social media and her
What did she say?
defaming.
Just a second. Tell me what she said on social media.
She put on social media that I fire women who don't take my sexual advances, and I.
Different story. Oh, that's a different story. Now we're talking business. Can I see what she wrote to you about on social media? Because if you said that, and if you don't have proof of that, you're going to prove. Just a second. If you have proof, great.
Sexual advances.
Don't say a word.
I have.
I want to see the sexual.
Post.
That part of the defamation. Hold it. Okay. Now, Miss Menz.
Yes.
I want you to be very careful with me.
Yes.
What are you doing?
I'm looking for my evidence as well.
What do you mean looking for your evidence? Where did you think you were coming today?
Oh, no, I'm bringing it up on the phone. I'm sorry.
Just a second. All I want to know is, did Mr. Ben... Look at me.
Okay.
Did Mr. Ben Israel make sex... When?
We went out on a meeting.
Look, I want you to know something. I'm a truth machine.
Yes. We went to dinner like the first couple weeks I was working there.
Just a second. You went to dinner.
With another employee. We were celebrating.
Just a second. Be real careful with me.
Yes, ma'am.
Within the first couple of weeks you were working there, you went to dinner with the defendant, with another employee.
Company.
Another female.
Yes.
Female employee. So the three of you went out for dinner.
Yes.
We all were invited, Your Honor.
Now you can put her out.
That's my witness.
Call her. Right now, she is an annoyance to me because she shouts out. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Now, you and one other female employee went out for dinner.
Yes. Before she worked there.
And
so we had dinner, and he was having a few drinks.
Make sure you tell me the truth, because then I'm going to question you about why you stayed.
Okay.
So keep going.
So we were having dinner. He had a few drinks, and like he was just kind of, uncomfortably touching me, and I thought it was just because he was drinking, rushing.
You mean like this?
Yeah. Like he was getting happy.
Just a second. And
he was just
and
he was feeling good, just drinking.
Just a second. And
that's it.
Well, so then he never sexually harassed you. I don't care how you felt. Do you understand?
Yes,
because however you felt at that moment, you continued to work for him, and I guarantee you that you had a drink too at dinner.
Actually, I did not. I had a pop.
Yeah. Okay. Harassment seriously.
Yes.
And I think anyone who has been a victim of sexual harassment in a workplace deserves to be compensated.
Yes.
Listen to me carefully.
I understand.
So I resent because it diminishes real sexual harassment. When you have somebody that's got another agenda like you.
I don't have another agenda.
Just
he
a
sent
second.
me pictures.
Just a second. I said, were you ever sexually harassed by him? That's the story you told me.
And then I'm moving on to the further.
Then tell me.
Okay,
then
so
tell me
when
the next.
I was working with...
I don't want to hear you. You complained about something.
Okay.
Listen to me.
You
complained about something unless you want to withdraw your counterclaim.
Okay.
Look at me. Unless you want to withdraw your counterclaim, I'm going to hear whatever other evidence she has.
Perfect.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Now, I want you to tell me what to sexual harass you.
So he sent... I don't have it because I erased it.
Well, don't tell me what you don't have.
Okay.
Don't tell me what you don't have. Tell me what you have.
I have inappropriate pictures that he sent.
That he sent to you?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. Don't say anything. Why is this an inappropriate picture?
I mean, why would you send a
second.
shirtless picture to an employee?
I mean, I just want to know why it's an inappropriate picture, because maybe he's a schmuck.
Inappropriate?
But this isn't an inappropriate picture. It's a picture of him.
Those were taken off my Instagram, my Facebook page. And
just a second. Is this on your...
I help people lose weight.
Just a second. I don't think that this is an inappropriate picture. I would think that it's listen to me. I would think that it's inappropriate behavior and stupid to send this to an employee.
I agree.
As I would agree that this is inappropriate and stupid to send to an employee. If what you are telling me, Mr. Ben Israel, is that this came off of your Facebook page, and she says that you sent it to her.
No, you
just a second. If she and you can establish to me that she took this off your Facebook page, I'm granting your request, because I see she's got no other evidence there.
I'm not even on his Facebook page.
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
Just a second. Show me how he sent it to you. Because now we're in checkmate.
Stuff.
Now we're in checkmate. You show me where he sent these pictures to you, because you would agree, Mr. Ben Israel, that this would be inappropriate to send to an employee.
Definitely, I would. Yeah.
So it's saved into my photo drive because your photos automatically save. Because I
listen to me. Listen to me.
Okay.
You know what, Miss Menz, that's going to cost you? $1,036. That's what that's going to cost you.
Okay.
Posting that thing, accusing him of sexual harassment, and then lying to me.
I'm not lying, but
telling me.
I'm
well,
not
now
lying.
he's going to show me where it's on his Facebook page. Bird, may I get that, please?
I think you guys got bad Wi-Fi here.
We don't have anything bad here.
I'm just waiting for it to load, but these are
screenshots.
screenshots that she sent to herself, and then she showed it to her a friend, which was an employee that worked for us, and she sent it to me to show what she took the pictures off and then sent it to herself as if I'm sending her messages.
You mean setting up this case? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you did. That's exactly what you did. It's going to cost you $1,036.
Thank you.
You don't have to pay her anything. What she said was outrageous. It's going to cost her her money, and she owes you an apology.
Yeah. Thank you.
Got it? We're done.
It's case number 560 on the calendar in the matter of Seward versus Kinchi.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Seward, you have a vacation home, and the vacation home is winter vacation home that you rent.
That's correct.
And you rented that vacation home to the defendant and probably some friends.
That is correct.
How many friends went?
There was 4, I believe. I wasn't the renter. I was just a part of it.
Who rented the house? The name of the person?
My buddy Johnny.
Now, this rental house that you have of a mountain.
It's built inside of a hill. It's an earth home.
Do you have a photo of it?
I do.
I'd like to see it. Because it is your claim, Mr. Seward, that the defendant went snowmobiling down the hill and used your house as sort of a mogul.
That's correct.
So he went over the roof of your house on a snowmobile. As a result of that, there was some damage to the ceiling of the house. Mr. Kinchi, if I understand, your defense is that while you acknowledge that you did, in fact, use the roof of the house as a mogul and went over the roof of the house, that it could have been anything that caused the damage.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. Now, was the hill covered in snow when you used the roof as a mogul?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to show you this photograph, and I would like you to take a pen that Officer Byrd is going to give you and show me where you went over the roof with your snowmobile. Okay. And this was on February of this year?
Yes.
What time?
It was nighttime, 5, 6 o'clock.
And where is the house located?
Up in Michigan, up by Saginaw Bay, right outside of Linwood.
And had you skied or fished that day? What were you doing up in the house?
We rented the house to go up there and ice fish Saginaw Bay.
Okay.
And we got done fishing.
Okay, so you were ice fishing. Four guys.
Our group had 4 guys. We had more buddies up there. They stayed in a hotel around us.
Okay. So allegedly there were only 4 of you staying in the house.
Correct.
How old are you?
22.
And when you were ice fishing on that day, what time did you start to drink? Listen to me. I have 5 children. They're all... I ask you the question. I don't expect... what time on February 2nd or 3rd, when you were ice fishing, did you start to drink?
Around 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
3 p.m. So by the time 5 to 6 o'clock came around, you were feeling happy. Now, prior to that time, had anybody else used the plaintiff's roof as a mogul with the snowmobile?
Nope.
The answer is no. Nobody was dumb enough or drunk enough. And you had been there how many days?
That was the second day, Your Honor.
2 days. So in 2 days, nobody had used the roof of...
That was the first day it snowed.
Just a second. How many days did you stay there all together?
I believe 3.
And you were all together, the 4 of you, or your other buddies who you saw intermittently because they were staying in a hotel. You saw them all because you were fishing together. That's what you went up there for, a buddy weekend.
Correct, Your Honor.
how many other people in the group used the plaintiff's house as a mogul?
One other.
Name.
Trade.
And when did he use the roof of the house as a mogul?
Right before I did.
So you and one other person, I just want to make sure so that in the event I rule in his favor, you know who to sue for half the damage. Great. Only the two of you used the roof of his house as a mogul during your 3-day fishing stay. Great. So you see, simplified. Now, I see the picture of the nice house inside. Now I'd like to see a picture of the house after they left.
Got some pictures of the ceiling that have show the cracks after the snowmobile drove up and down the side of the roof. Your Honor, I have an inspection report also that has pictures in it.
You have an inspection report?
Right. I had to hire an inspector to come out and inspect the property.
I'd like to see the report, please. Okay. So he found some evidence of cracking in the ceiling. And he said, according to him, that there is no permanent structural damage to the ceiling, and it requires another coat of
drywall.
Drywall. Good. Now you have a video for me to watch?
I personally don't have a video, but I believe the defendant does.
Oh,
I do
good.
have the video.
You have a video? I'd like to see it. Why did you bring that?
To show you that I did do it, but to also show you how the house is structured and how the house is built, knowing that it's not just a normal house. This house is built into a hill that looks just like a normal yard. Plus, there's also no gates, no fence, no signs, no nothing saying, stay off this house.
Stay off the roof, you mean?
Stay off the roof.
There's no sign that says stay off the roof.
There's no sign. He did not tell us to stay off the roof. We signed a contract. It was not in the contract to do not be on the roof. Also to show that my snowmobile weighs no more than, has 2 foot of dirt on top of it, which weighs thousands and thousands of pounds. So I don't see how it's right with me and my snowmobile, a couple extra 100 pounds over a roof that already has thousands and thousands of pounds, cause structural damage or cracks in the drywall. I don't see how it's possible. Plus, the cracks, to me, look old. So I don't know how he can pinpoint it to me, and because of me driving in that snowmobile over top of the house roof, that the cracks were caused by me.
Okay. Prior to renting to the defendant's friend, had you inspected the house?
The house?
That's either a yes or a no.
The house was not. I purchased the house December 2017.
Was the defendant party the first renter?
They were the second group that rented the house.
When was the first group?
It was a week before.
Between the first and the second group, did you inspect the house?
Yes, and...
The answer is yes. You went in and visually inspected it?
Yes.
And did you examine the ceiling?
I didn't notice any damage to the ceiling after the first renters.
And when did you examine the house after the defendant's group left?
Between the time that the defendant was at our house and we had to prepare the house for the next group coming in the next Wednesday, me and my wife went out and this group. And during that time also, my wife did some painting in the house. And she painted part of the ceiling. And when she painted it, there was no cracks. She painted it before they showed up.
Is that true?
Yes.
So that was an inspection of it?
Yes.
Okay. And there was an inspection of it after they left?
Correct.
Before the next people were coming in, and that's when you noticed the cracks. Because this report is dated the 7th of February.
Right.
Which is shortly after they left, but shortly before the next people would be coming in. Okay, now I need to see a bill for what it will cost to put up new drywall.
Okay. Here's an estimate.
You see, Mr. Kinchy, this represents as a life's lesson. If you're going to act like a moron when you're drunk,
I was not
either
drunk.
don't drink, which is not going to happen with a 22-year-old, or exercise better judgment. There doesn't have to be a sign, do not walk on the roof. If I go to a building and I'm standing outside the building and I see somebody who's playing Spider-Man and is a rock climber and is climbing up the side of the building and he's arrested for trespass, and his response to the police is, there's no sign here that says I'm not supposed to. Would that sound like an idiot to you? Of course. Things that are made to comport with a specific purpose. A roof's purpose is to protect the interior of the house. It's not used to drive a car over, even though the roof has no sign that says do not drive a car over this roof. Now, if you don't want to get caught with your pickle in a jar, don't put your pickle in the jar. what you did was do something stupid. Now, do I know for certain that you caused the damage to the kitchen under the roof? The answer is no. I don't have to know for certain. In this proceeding, that there's more evidence than not that before you moved in with your friends, there was no damage to the ceiling, and after you moved out, there was, because that's what he says. And I believe her, because she, when she was painting the ceiling, wasn't drunk. So I believe her that when she painted the ceiling, there was no cracks. After you moved out, there were cracks, and that he had the place inspected 3 days after you moved out. Now, could there have been a 350-pound moose that decided to go trotting across the roof? Maybe he didn't see any signs either. Well, sir, your problem is that I know for certain that you were on top of that roof, and the fact that it didn't say, "Don't drive my snowmobile or a motorcycle over the top of the roof," is not an excuse. It doesn't have to. You're supposed to know that. You're supposed to know that if you see glass on the beach and you're walking barefooted, you don't walk on the glass. You walk around the glass. And if you choose to walk on the glass, you're an idiot. And if you cut your feet and then you say, "I'm going to walk around and find out who beach," if you find the person who dropped their glass on the beach and they say, "Well, there was no sign that said don't drop your glass on the beach," you're supposed to know that. You're 22 years old.
Your Honor.
What?
First thing, I was not drunk. I have a lot of practice with drinking. Second thing, that house was specifically made for this. So it's specifically made to withstand a lot of weight with 2 foot of dirt that is frozen.
Just a second. What do you do for a living?
I work in a factory.
So I assume you didn't go to engineering school.
Nope.
And I would assume that if I tried to qualify you as an expert witness in the field of engineering, you would come up short. You never graduated from college. You don't have an engineering degree. You don't have an architect degree. So don't tell me what it's specifically designed to do. The roof's purpose is to shelter the house. It is not to be used as a mogul. That's why you went there. And this was just another attractive nuisance for you. It was an attractive nuisance because you could go zoom. But that's not what you brought the snowmobiles there for. So since you are not an architect, you are not a structural engineer, you are not a college graduate, you can't testify to me what specificity the roof was made to withstand because you have zero expertise. The only thing I know is, no, it's not common sense. The only thing I know is before you, don't try to talk over me because what they do is they cut your mic. What I'm telling you from these people is before you and your friends got there were no cracks in the ceiling. And after you and your friends left, there were. Now, without the video that you brought to me, I wouldn't have known for certain that you were on the snowmobile. You told me that you were on the snowmobile. So that's the only possible causation. More evidence than not. That's the quantum of proof here. Not beyond a reasonable doubt, not clear and convincing evidence, just a little bit more evidence. Yep. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,508.50. So I would suggest, sir, that if you think Trey might be responsible, you sue him. Goodbye. For a living.
I'm a lawyer.
Where?
San Antonio, Texas. Hope you don't use that against me.
No, I'm going to hold your lawsuit against you because it's stupid.
Well, to me, it's personal, and if you got a bad haircut, I'm sure you would be happy.
It's stupid. Your lawsuit's stupid. And I actually am surprised. I didn't know what you did for a living, so I'm actually surprised that you acknowledged that you were a lawyer. I would have thought that a lawyer had more respect for courts than to bring this kind of lawsuit, which I'm going to outline very briefly. But whatever hair you have left, you wanted to have cut. And she cut your hair too short, so you're suing her for $5,000. Now, that's a ridiculous loss of judicial time. Only thing is, this is a television courtroom, so we actually have fun doing sometimes ridiculous cases, which I'm sure is the reason you came here.
Well, no, in America, we entitle different opinions.
Listen to me. Mr. Campos, this is not an audition, and I've already got the job. Got it?
Got it.
Did you pay for the haircut?
Yes, I did.
How much did you pay for the haircut?
$10.
And when you paid the $10, she had already cut your hair?
Yes, she had shaved my head.
Just a second. She had already cut your hair?
Yes.
And when did you get this short haircut?
It was a couple days before Christmas, about December 21st.
And right now, we're 3 months later, and is this the usual length of your hair? Show me a picture of what your head looked like after the defendant cut your hair.
Shaved my head.
Okay. She gave you a very short haircut. It's not shaven, but it's very, very short.
It wasn't a haircut, it was a shave.
Impossible. Did you use a razor on his head?
No, ma'am.
No, of course not. That's not a razor. Sam Jackson's hair is cut with a razor.
I didn't accuse her of using a razor. I did an electric shaver is what she used.
Right. That's fine.
Your Honor.
Okay, just a second. Not necessary. And it took to grow out.
Your opinion, I don't know, maybe a month.
Whatever. It took a month for your hair to grow out. And were you working during that time, Mr. Campos?
No.
That's just a second. Were you working? That's a yes or a no during that month? Or a no during that month?
Well, I'm self-employed, so some days I work, some days I don't. Yes,
so
I was working.
The answer you was you were working. And you didn't work over the Christmas holidays?
I wasn't claiming lost wages.
Mr. Campos, it's not an audition, sir.
I'm not auditioning. I'm just responding to what you say.
I don't think you're cute.
Cute?
Good.
You are cute.
Mr. Campos, you are absolutely correct. That's why I have the job, and you get $10, and that's the judgment of the court. Goodbye.
You don't want to hear the facts?
We're done.
Yes, case number 359 on the calendar, the matter of Cassidy versus Miniker.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Cassidy, the defendant was your boyfriend, according to what I've read, and you claimed that you made 2 loans to him. One was for a vacation, and the other was just because he was sort of short on his mortgage cash. The defendant says there was never a loan agreement. The trip was your idea, and with regard to the other money, he never borrowed it. He doesn't owe it to you. So let's start out with, in what month and year, Miniker, start to date?
I believe it was September or October of 2014.
And you never lived together?
No.
What was the date of this trip that you were planning on going on?
The cruise was from February 21st to February 26th, 2015.
All right. Well, tell me about Mr. Miniker's participation in that trip.
The trip was already planned with friends.
Your friends?
My friends. And my trip, we had already planned this, and my portion was paid for.
Before you met him?
Well, before we started dating.
Okay.
There was talk. He knew we were going on the cruise.
What did he say?
He said he'd like to go on the cruise. And we decided to research what the cost would be to the cruise line.
Who's we?
Mr. Miniker and I.
Who made the call?
I made the call when he asked me to research what it would cost for him and his daughter to go.
So?
So the call was made to the Carnival representative. He said there was 1 cabin left and what the cost would be.
What was the cost?
$997.44 was the cruise cost itself.
Okay, so after the representative gave you a price, what did you do?
We discussed it, and he said he and his daughter would like to go, and that he didn't have the money at that time, but if I lent it to him, he would pay me in full for the cost of the cruise, incidentals, because there were shore excursions. And
okay, let's stop right there. Is that the conversation?
Not as I recall it, no, Your Honor.
Well, I'd like you to tell me what you recall the conversation was.
Sure. We were going to dinner with the other couples who were going on a cruise.
And they were couples?
Yes, they were couples that were going.
Is that correct, that they were couples?
Yes, there were 2 married couples.
So you were going with 2 married couples. You were the only single person going on the cruise?
Correct.
Go ahead.
While we were having dinner, we were discussing about the cruise. She asked if I would be interested in going on the cruise. I said at this time, you know, I have free time right now due to I'm in between some jobs.
So you weren't working at the time?
Correct.
Where were you living?
I had just bought a house on land contract from a relative.
Did you buy the house before or how long that you've been working at that job?
About 1.5 years.
Was that a layoff that you anticipated or not?
No, it was not.
When were you laid off from that job?
About 2 or 3 months prior to going on the cruise, I believe.
So you told her that you had time?
Yes, to go on the cruise if that's what we would agree to going together as a couple.
And?
We made the arrangements. She paid for everything up front.
Well, what did you discuss about payment?
We really didn't discuss anything because we were dating, so I don't remember discussing anything because we were together.
You weren't living together?
No, we were just dating.
You were dating?
Right.
Well, there must have been some discussion, sir, about who was going to pay for this $1,000.
I agreed to be the driver of the driving down, so that way I wouldn't have to pay for any of the gas or anything like that. And as far as like going on the excursions and stuff, she had already had that planned and then just included us into with her plans.
Well, including you in the plans requires money.
Right, right.
Well, so I'd like to know, sir, what did you discuss about money?
We really didn't discuss anything about it because we were together, and so...
You keep saying that. That suggests to me that you think it's a big bargain having you just together, and she should be grateful to have you in that position of being an escort, and that the issue of money isn't something that you should say, well, either, you know, this isn't a good time for me. I have working right now, so I can't afford to go on a cruise right now. I have the time, but I don't have the money. Sometimes you have the money, you don't have the time, but in your case, you had plenty of time, but no money.
Right.
Okay, so you had to have discussed the money part, because you weren't living together as a family. She was your date.
Right.
Not a paid escort.
Correct.
Trust me. So you don't remember the discussion about money?
We discussed once she called the cruise line what it would be to go on the cruise, and then she paid for everything, and we made the arrangements to go.
Nice. Okay, that's $1,000 for the cruise. What else do you think he owes you for?
For the cost of the excursions, which was $49.95, that was basically you get to get on before everybody else.
I don't care.
Okay. And then there was $219.98 for one of the excursions, which was the dolphin encounter, and $151.98, which was the stingray encounter.
I want you to tell me, other than the cost of the basic cruise, what you discussed specifically about the excursions.
We discussed whether or not he wanted to and his daughter go on the excursions with us. He said he did, and that would be added into the cost of the reimbursement.
$1,400. What's next?
And then there was the $300 for the mortgage that we got back from the cruise, and he was short. He did have a job lined up, and he was going to be worth his paycheck, and so I agreed to loan him the $300. Again, he said he would reimburse me.
Go.
We had never discussed any of the excursions. It was just all added into the cruise.
Listen to me, sir. I'm past the cruise.
Okay.
I'm on the $300 for your mortgage.
Okay. I was behind, and I needed the extra money, and she offered to give it to me for being behind because we went on the cruise, and I had not received any paychecks yet.
Well, you had to have called her and told her that you were having trouble with the mortgage.
She was aware of my financial
Don't
issues.
tell me what aware. I don't want to know aware. Aware is you calling for the operation of what's in her mind. If Bert and I know each other called me and said, you know, I need $500 to pay my mortgage, then I would be aware of it. But if he didn't tell me that he was behind $500 on his mortgage, I wouldn't be aware of it. So you had to have told her you were behind on your mortgage.
Yes.
And when you said you were behind on your mortgage, what did you say to her?
I'm behind on my mortgage by $300, and I'm not sure where I'm going to come up with it this month, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I had just recently moved in there, and I didn't want to get any further behind. She says I can help you out this month and pay the $300 that you're behind.
Great. That means you owe her $1,700 now. We are. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. Thank you. What? You and Miss Middleton, you have a child together?
Yes, Your Honor.
How old is that child?
2 years old.
Boy or girl?
Girl.
This is what your lawsuit is about. According to you, you and Miss Middleton got into an argument. And when you got into an argument, according to Miss Middleton, she called the police. You were arrested. While you were incarcerated, Miss Middleton filed for a protective order.
Yes, ma'am.
Keeping you away from your apartment because it was your apartment.
Exactly.
And Miss Middleton, according to you, removed all of your furniture.
No. She kept me out of the apartment the entire length of the lease until it was extinguished.
I'm talking about the furniture. What are you saying no for?
Oh.
Did she remove your furniture? That's what the case is about. Mr. Gardner, let's understand what you say this case is about. You say that while you were incarcerated, while there was a protective order, Miss Middleton removed the furniture from your apartment. Is that right?
Yes.
And it was your furniture that you purchased?
Yes.
And you want the furniture back?
Yes.
You also say that Miss Middleton, while you were either incarcerated or had this protective order, didn't pay rent in that apartment, but lived in that apartment using the security deposit that you put in the apartment as her last month's rent.
Correct.
You think that she should pay you back for that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Miss Middleton says that you bought the furniture and you gave it to her as a gift. Now, when did you move into that apartment? And did you move into that apartment with Miss Middleton?
Yes.
Was your daughter born then?
Yes.
Had you and Miss Middleton lived together prior to your daughter being born?
Yes.
In another apartment?
Yes.
For how long?
About 8 months.
At that time, was Miss Middleton working?
No.
Was she working during the pregnancy of your daughter?
No.
Was she working after the child was born?
No.
Were you working?
Yes.
Was Miss Middleton collecting welfare of any sort?
Yes.
What was she collecting?
I think it was medical assistance and food stamps.
Is it correct that you were unemployed since 2011?
Yes, I started work in December of 2011.
For whom? How long did that job last?
I'm still there.
And is that full-time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, when was the furniture purchased?
February through April of 2012.
Why was the apartment put in his name only?
Because at the time, Your Honor, Mr. Gardner was the only one with the income at the time. But my name was on the lease, too.
As somebody who could live in the house, but you were not a signatory to that lease.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And he was the only one working in that apartment in February of 2011?
Yes, ma'am.
And he bought furniture for that apartment during the next 2 months?
Yes, ma'am.
So he paid for it?
Correct.
Great. And on what date did you have either ejected from the house, have the police called, whatever?
Back in April.
Of 2013?
Yes, ma'am.
2013?
Yes, ma'am.
And with whom does your daughter live now?
With me, Your Honor.
You say the child's with you?
She is.
Is there a court order for custody?
We're having a hearing. We're scheduled for a hearing 4 months from now.
Where did the child sleep over the weekend?
With me.
And during the week?
With me.
And when you're working, who takes care of the child?
My daughter's godparents.
And how are they related to either you or Miss Middleton?
They're friends of us.
Of whose?
Of mine.
Now, is Gardner has physical custody of your daughter Monday through Friday?
Correct, Your Honor.
Good. Perfect. Now, once Mr. Middleton was out of the apartment, you stayed there for an additional month.
Yes, Your Honor.
And lived off the security in the apartment. Is
No,
that...
Your Honor.
Well, did you pay rent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Show me.
I didn't have to think I had to bring that.
Why? That's what part of the lawsuit is, that you were living in the apartment and you didn't pay rent. Now, who paid rent, Miss Middleton, while the two of you were living together the month before he was arrested?
I did, Your Honor.
You did?
Yes, because Mr. Gardner was unemployed at the time.
So you paid the rent?
Yes, Your Honor.
You say here that while he was in jail, I lost money from work because I had to take time off to watch the baby. I couldn't pay the rent, so I talked to the manager about using the security deposit for last month's rent. That's what you wrote. That's what you wrote. Was that a lie?
No, Your Honor.
So that was true. So then what you told me a moment ago was a lie.
No, Your Honor.
Well, they're two different stories, so you have to come up with the right story.
I paid the rent, Your Honor.
Security deposit, last month's rent. You wrote here that you spoke to the landlord, and the landlord agreed to let you use the security deposit.
Okay, Your Honor, back in May, our lease was coming up anyway. Let me clarify this. Okay, the whole bottom floor was getting renovated. So the owner was like, you know, I didn't have to pay the May's rent due to the fact because I had to go find another apartment. I never got no security deposit whatsoever.
Well, he put down the security deposit. He put down this, that's what he's saying. He's saying that you didn't pay the last month's rent, and you don't have a receipt for the last month's rent because you used his security deposit for the rent, which I think that you did. How much was the rent?
$750.
Okay. Anybody want to say anything else to me? Because I'm done with this case. Now, you're going to get your furniture back, all of your furniture. Have it all wrapped up. He's coming to pick up his furniture.
Honor, the furniture can't be returned because...
Listen to me. You're not getting any money. Period. End of discussion. I want you to understand this. No money. You get your furniture. And you also get the last month's rent, which was your security deposit, $750. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Furniture. Back to him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Bye.
Please excuse me. Step out.
Mr. Bell, how long do you know Mr. Rubin?
Approximately since September of 2015.
Now, your neighbors.
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Okay. And you bought a car from him. You gave him $1,200 in various installments, sort of on a down payment, and you were supposed to pay him the rest in periodic payments. At some point, you returned the car to him. You returned the car to him when?
10/12.
First payment on the car to him?
9/14 for $800.
And then you made another payment to him?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
When was that?
It was on 9/18 for $400.
Okay, so you had the car for a month, and you returned the car because?
He never showed proof of title at all, a picture, nothing whatsoever, and I refused to continue giving him any payments until he showed title.
Okay, fine. Do you have title? I'd like to see it.
I do, Your Honor. I have...
Title, not a request for title. Title.
An affidavit in lieu of title notarized.
Who gave you that?
My father's car. He's in a nursing home. And
No, that's not a title.
It's an affidavit in lieu of title, correct?
It's not a title.
Correct.
You do. Now, are you your father's guardian, appointed?
I'm not.
Okay, then you have no title to the car. You have no right to sell it. You have to give him back his deposit. And you have the car back, is that right?
Correct.
Good. Well, when your father can either sign or you become guardian over your father so that you can make a transfer of the car to somebody else, that would be great.
He did that, Your Honor. It's a release
Great, then
of
get the
interest.
title. He doesn't want a car for which he doesn't have a title. And if you can get somebody else to buy it with that piece of paper, that's fine. I wouldn't buy it.
Why would I produce a title, Your Honor, without having been paid?
Why would he pay you without a title? $1 down payment, and you gave him possession of the car. The only thing that remains is the periodic payments. If he failed to make the periodic payments, you could sue him for the periodic payments. But if you don't have the title, I mean, you have a counterclaim for the balance of the purchase price, but you don't have a title to sign to give to him. If I granted your counterclaim, you still couldn't give him a title.
Your Honor, in Washington State, I don't need a title. I'm in the automobile business. This is an affidavit in lieu of title.
We're not in a place where I tell you that you need a title to transfer a car. That's what he's comfortable with, a title. Not some piece of paper that can come back and haunt him at another time. If your father miraculously gets better in the nursing home, you have to give him back his $1,200 and you have possession of the car, so that's my judgment.
What about the rent for the month that he used it?
You did not have the right to sell it to him. We're done.
Justice case number 141 on the calendar in the matter of Cullen versus Anderson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, gentlemen.
Miss Cullen, you have 2 terrier dogs.
Yes.
Do you have photographs of them?
I do.
May I see them, please? They look as if they weigh about 12, 14 pounds?
20, 22 pounds.
They like to eat?
Mm-hmm. They're both pretty healthy.
How long have you had them?
The one on the left, which is Hannah, is 10. I've had her 5 years. And the other one is Sasha. I've had her 13 years.
And this, you were with that day?
Yes.
And you have a pit bull?
Yes, I do.
Miss Anderson, how old is that dog?
He was about 10 years old, almost 10.
How long have you had him?
I've had him since he was 8 weeks old.
And what kind of a dog does your boyfriend have?
He has a Basset Hound.
Do you live together?
Yes.
And how old is the Basset Hound?
He's 1 year old.
And does the Basset Hound get along with your dog?
Yes, they're always together.
This incident happened between not only the two of you, but your two dogs on October 12th of this year. Do you want to tell me what happened, Miss Cullum?
Yes, about a little after 7 in the morning, I was walking my two dogs. I was about down to the right on the next street, and the defendant and the gentleman were walking two dogs towards me.
They were on the same side of the street?
They were the side. Can I show it on the...
They were together?
They were together.
They were together?
They were together. But they were across the street.
But on the
opposite side of the street, down the end, towards the end of the street. And I was walking
forward. So they were on
forward.
the opposite side of the street from you?
Yes.
Okay. And then what happened?
I got to about where the street was, and I was crossing, and I looked, and I saw that the pit bull was getting a little aggressive, and I decided, well, I couldn't turn around and go back because they were coming the direction of my...
Point to where you are and where the defendant is. Are you in blue or are you orange?
I'm orange.
You're orange. Okay, great. So you were walking down the street.
I was right here.
So this incident happened in the middle of the street?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Miss Anderson,
yes.
I want you to look at Miss Cullum's evidence. Do you see it?
I do.
Would it be fair to say that that's where the incident took place between the dogs?
No.
And you?
No.
Show me where you think the incident took place.
If I'm the one in the blue, we were actually on the same side of the street when it started to happen, right here.
So you were on the same side now of the street with her?
Over. Yeah, we had crossed over.
Just a second. Okay, so my question to you is, you had crossed over to the same side of the street that she was walking on, and you were walking up that street. Is that what you're saying to me?
That is correct.
That, Miss Anderson, that you were walking up the street where she was walking her two little dogs?
Yes, because we lived on that same street.
Okay, show me where you live.
Okay, so she lives
Show me.
We're going up the street. You turn right here on cul-de-sac.
So your house is in that cul-de-sac. So you didn't necessarily have to be on the same side of the street that she was. You could have been on the other side of the street and crossed at the next corner. I'm just looking at your photograph.
Yeah, we were crossing to go home.
If you're the blue dog, you could have stayed on without crossing over. You could have walked up to the next street and then made your turn into the cul-de-sac where you live. Am I correct?
You're correct.
So I assume that when you saw her with her two dogs, you had to have seen her because you crossed over, and according to what you say, you weren't very far away from her with two dogs.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Coleman.
I was crossing the street, and I saw that the dog, the pit bull, had broken away from the owner and charged, as that black shadow shows, and came and got to my dog.
Okay, when you say broke away, Ms. Cullum, from the owner, the defendant's dog was on a leash, had been on a leash along with the beagle, or Basset Hound.
Right.
Basset Hound. They had both been leashed. According to what I've read here, you know, when you say got away from, break away from, so the dog was no longer attached to the defendant?
Exactly.
When this happened, the defendant was no longer holding on to the leash.
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Go ahead.
By the time I saw the dog, I couldn't get away. And it came and it grabbed Hannah, and I went to grab him as much as I could. Hannah came around and out of defense got me in the left wrist, bit the top and bottom of my left wrist. I curled up into a ball and ended up on the ground, and I was screaming. And the next thing I knew, Doyle, with the defendant, came running around, and he got the dog.
He came around.
I didn't see it. He got the dog off of my dog. The dog was totally clenched onto my dog.
Did you see how he did that? Did you hear him say something?
No, I didn't see him do it. My husband, he told my husband how he did it.
Were you present when he told your husband how he did it?
I was there, but I didn't hear it. I was on the ground.
Is your husband here?
Yes, he is.
Would he come up, please? Your last name is same, Cullen?
Yes,
Mr. Cullen, you were not with your wife at the time, is that right?
that is correct.
Did you subsequently have a defendant or her boyfriend?
Well, my neighbor knocked on the door and told me that Donna had been attacked by a dog. And when I got there, Donna was on the ground, and she comes running out with her phone saying, "This is my information," and they said it was all her fault. Well, when I come running out...
Just a second. Stop. Who came running out
Nicole.
with her phone? And this young lady came running out
Yes.
and gave you her information.
Well, she tried to, but I was more worried about my wife and my dog, and I'd just gotten up, so I didn't have anything to take any information down with me at that time.
Okay. Did you speak to her boyfriend?
And spoke to us.
He came to your house?
Yes.
What's your boyfriend's last name?
Tripp.
Mr. Tripp, would you stand up, please? I want you to be very careful what you tell me. You were there during this incident, and at some point, you got the pit bull off of one of the dogs. I want you to describe to me what you told Mr. Cullen that night, because that night would be freshest in your memory. This incident happened on October 12th, so certainly it would be fresher in your mind than it is today. So I want you, the night of October 12th.
Your Honor, when I went over that night, I didn't tell him how I got the dog loose. As the dogs were fighting, I was yanking.
You were what?
As the dogs were fighting, I was yanking on the dog's leash for him to let go of the other dog. That's how I got him to let go.
Hold on a second. Well, that's interesting. Where did you get the leash from?
The dog was still on the leash.
Where did you get the leash from? There's a collar. The collar is attached to the leash. You were walking your basset hound. Where did you get the leash from, Mr. Tripp? Now you're starting to understand me.
From Miss Anderson.
From the ground.
From Miss Anderson, that's who.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You know what happened? Mr. Tripp, just so that you know, Mr. Tripp, just so that you know what happens, sir, when you're asked a question and you're not prepared to answer it, Mr. Tripp, pay attention. When you watch this case, because you will watch this case, you will see that your artery popped out twice. You know why? Because you weren't telling me the truth. Now you can sit down. Now you're going to tell me your version of these events. Did you lose control of your dog?
No, I did not.
Did you have the leash in your hand at all? Hand the leash off to Mr. Tripp.
I'm not exactly sure how he got the leash out of my hand. I was trying to hold on to the dog while they were fighting.
I'm not sure either. I'm not sure how he got control of the leash either. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
But certainly, two people weren't tugging on the dog at the same time. What did he tell you, Mr. Cullen, when he came over to your house that night?
He said that first they saw Donna, and that he was happy to see that she was going to go in the opposite direction that they were going. And the next thing he knew, that the dog had broken the leash and run away from Nicole. And by the time they got over there, he'd already checked on how to get a person, dog, whatever, once it clamped down.
Is that what he told you?
Yeah.
Mr. Cullen, I'm asking you what he told you. So he said to you he already checked on how to get a pit bull off somebody or something.
Yes.
This is what he told you.
Yes, he checked it out on the internet on how to do that. And
so he checked that out before?
Yes, he checked it out on the internet beforehand. And he said that you had to punch it in the back of the neck. He told me that he had to do it 3 times before the dog would release. And he's a pretty good-sized guy. So I don't know if I could have punched the dog 3 times and got it off or not.
Mm-hmm. Vet bills, please. Can I see the vet bills? And your wife's emergency care bitten by her own dog that was your fault. Has your dog ever bitten any animal before?
No.
Miss Anderson, is there any reason why your boyfriend would have looked up on the internet that you can figure out how to get a pit bull off another living thing? Because there's no question he told that to Mr. Cullen. There's no question that that's what he told him, that he looked it up on the internet, how to get a pit bull off another living creature. There's no question that Mr. Cullen didn't make that up. Why do you think he would look up how to get a pit bull off a living creature? Because he has nothing else to do? Is he employed? Does he have work that keeps him busy?
Yes, he is employed.
I mean, how to get a Shih Tzu, which is what I have, off another living creature. I wouldn't look that up. Did you ever, well, let me put it this way to you, Miss Anderson. He has a basset hound. Did you ever look up on the internet how to get a basset hound off another living creature? Did you ever have occasion to look that up?
No.
Just a second. Mr. Tripp, we're coming back to you a second. You can shake yes or no, because I don't want you to stand up again. Too much exercise. Did you ever look up how to get a basset hound off another living creature?
No.
Okay, can I see the bills, please? Okay.
$2,829.16.
And which emergency room or doctor did you go to?
I went to Mercy Southwest. It's a Dignity Health hospital in Bakersfield.
And what did they do for you, for your wrist?
I had to have a tetanus shot because they gave me 4 sutures on the top and 3 sutures on the bottom of my wrist.
You own your own home, Miss Anderson, or does Mr. Tripp?
He owns the home.
I suggest, Mr. Tripp, that you advise your homeowner's insurance that you have a pit bull in your house. I assume you have homeowner's insurance. Mr. Tripp, who's the carrier of your homeowner's insurance? Do they know that a pit bull lives in your house?
Yes.
Do you pay extra for the pit bull?
Nope.
Unlikely. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. We're finished. Thank you. We're done. Farmers, pay attention. Ms. Blauer, this is what I gather from your case, from your sworn complaint. See if I understand why you want to get the courts involved in this drama with your ex-husband. You and Mr. Blauer have a 5-year-old son together, and you are divorced.
Yes.
In what year were you divorced?
2016.
And then, according to you, in April of 2020, for whatever reason, the defendant moved back into your home.
Yes, he had just
and was
lost
there
her.
June, July, August, September, 6 months, and this incident happened in October. Is that right, Mr. Blauer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Blauer, I'm going to ask you a question. You have a 5-year-old child, so it was the 3 of you living together. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Since April? Did you have your own room?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Where did you sleep? Where did you sleep?
We actually all slept in the same bed, including our 5-year-old son. We only
Is that correct? Is that correct?
Yes, up until the last.
That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
I don't care up until the last. April, May, June, July, August, September. This incident happened in October. Okay, so I'm going to give you the scenario that you laid out to me. You said that you knew that your former husband didn't like it when your 5-year-old son played slide on his car.
That's correct.
That's what you said. Correct?
Yes.
And one day you were outside, and I assume you didn't let your 5-year-old son go outside alone because, as you say, he's a 5-year-old child. And I think that you indicated here that your son is autistic. And so I assume you didn't let him out by yourself. And you say he likes to climb on Drew's car and use the windshield as a slide.
Yes.
And you say here that that irritates Drew to the hood of the car, to the top of the car, unless somebody puts him there.
You
say, well, in October, while he was there and you were all sleeping in the same bed, our son again found his way on the top of Drew's car. Well, that must have been some good watching by his mother, and was using it as a slide. That's your sworn complaint. You say, I didn't want him to fall off, so I sat on the edge of the hood to catch him.
He would get at the very top of the roof. Yes, and he would tell me to sit.
That's what you said.
Yes. So I would sit on top of it, too.
Drew came out of the house and saw what was going on and became enraged, jumped on it and slammed himself on the hood and left a dent. That's what you want him to pay for?
Yes, basically to pay
That's
for...
what your case is?
Yes.
No, that's what your case is. Yeah, forget it. You have a dent in the hood, live with it. Now you have a counterclaim because courts don't help stupid people. Children don't use a car as a sliding pond. Now, weeks said, then she kicked you out of the house.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your counterclaim is that she wrote on your car, I need child support, thanks.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you see her do that? Did you see that?
Physically? No, I have not,
Did you see her do it?
No, I did not physically see her do it.
And then you said she came to your place of employment and wrote something else on the hood dust of your car. Did you see her do that?
No, I did not, Your Honor. I was working currently at the time.
The counterclaim is dismissed. So then we're finished with this ridiculous case. Goodbye.
It's case number 468 on the calendar, the matter of Clark versus Battle.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
What was the date of this incident in July?
July the 17th.
Before July 17th, Miss Clark, did you know Miss Battle?
Yes, I do.
For how long?
A long time. We grew up basically in the same neighborhood.
So you knew each other. Did you ever have any problems with her?
No, ma'am.
Before the 17th of July?
No, ma'am.
Is that right?
Not really.
What do you mean you had problems with her before July 17th?
Well, we had a few arguments before then.
About what?
Her saying stuff to me, calling my phone and want to argue back and forth about my kid's father.
So she wanted to talk to you about him?
No, that's not him.
That's not him. No. Where is he?
Incarcerated.
Oh. So let me just understand this nonsense. The two of you women had a fight with your cars over a guy who's now in jail.
I didn't have a fight with my car. She had a fight with her car.
She had a fight with hers.
Just a second. That's what I'm here to try to figure out. Could you take your hair away so I can see both your eyes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. On the 17th of July, you were going to pick up some money from the father of your... You have 2 children with this...
We have 3.
You have 3 children with this incarcerated person.
Right.
Perfect. And you were going to pick up some money from him. And you made up a place to meet. And when you got there, he was sitting in a car that belonged to her.
Correct.
So she was driving her car.
Correct.
And he was there.
Correct.
Did he give you the money?
I got out the car. He got out the car. Yes.
Okay, so
Not
you both...
true.
Don't talk to me.
Okay.
Don't shake your head. Try to keep the hair out of your
Okay.
eyes. So you got out of your car, he got out of her car, and did he have the money with him?
He did.
How much money was it?
I think it was like $75.
What was it for?
Gas.
Does he pay child support?
Things he take care of his kids and give me money, yeah.
What is he incarcerated for?
I don't know the charges. Federal charges.
Federal.
Yes.
I gather that since you have such a sort of cavalier attitude over the fact that the father of your 3 children is incarcerated, that this is not the first time he's incarcerated.
No.
Anyway, so he handed you the money, $75, and then what happened?
He and I and his cousin was standing there talking.
The 3 of you?
Yes.
Stop shaking your head because your hair keeps falling in front of your eye. Go ahead.
And she got irritated that we were standing there having a conversation. She got mad. She started cursing out the window, cussing.
No, tell me exactly what she said.
She was like, why to get in the car and stuff like that. And we were all looking at each other. Me, him, and her was like, what is she doing that for? So she wasn't talking to me at that point, so I didn't, respond to her or whatever. Then she got angrier because he didn't come get it back in the car with her. And then she started calling me out my name, calling me a fat. Why are you down here? And why are you always this? And saying things to me. So at that point, I like, what do you have? Why are you talking to me?
Was he there?
He was not.
And she was not neither.
Just a second. I just asked a question. Don't shout out.
Okay.
Take the hair away from your eyes so I could see both eyes. Yeah, go ahead.
So at that point, she started some things back to her, like, why are you cursing at me?
So you were cursing at each other?
Right. So at that point...
None of your 3 children were there, right?
No, ma'am. I just got off work, no. So at that point, him and her was telling me, just leave, go get in the car. So that's what I was doing. I was leaving to go get in the car. She cranked up her car and come at me full speed, trying to run me over. At that point, I had to jump out the way. And I'm standing there like a couple of feet from the car, and she backs up, go back again, back up, go at again. So at this point, I had to take the car and move it over a little bit further out the street so that I can try to get the door closed. So they were helping me get the door closed. At that point, I think she probably on the phone with the police.
Listen, she just tried. One more time.
Okay.
And you and Tallulah Bankhead, wasn't it Tallulah Bankhead who wore the hair over her eye? I'm going to leave. Don't shout out again.
Okay.
Veronica Lake.
Because she realized...
Veronica Lake. That's who it was. Veronica Lake. Thank you. You're old.
She realized that she had messed up her car, and this is her scheme and scam. A car she had previously, she did a false insurance claim on it to get the money for the check. And this is the thing she do. So by this time, I'm like, okay, they was like, she got a gun, just leave, So I'm leaving. She follows me to my window is barely closed. I'm holding it, trying to drive at the same time. She pulls up next to me at the light. She gets out her car, open the door, takes her cell phone, and start banging on the window, trying to break the window of the car. So I'm like, but I'm scared, don't know what's going on. The only reason she stopped is because the cars in the back of us was blowing the horn. And then I got in my car, left. She followed me a little bit longer. She turned around and went back to the original scene.
So what you're telling me is you came to get the $75 from the father of your children.
Right.
He gave you the $75.
Correct.
And then you were talking to him, and he left her sitting in the car.
Yep.
And she got annoyed.
Very.
Okay. Now,
Okay, Your Honor. Excuse my language when
No, listen to me. I don't excuse anything.
Okay.
I just want you to tell me your version of the events.
Okay, me and her was sitting in the car. She was not there. Her witness was not there at all.
Who's me and her?
I mean, me and Jamal was sitting in the car.
So you and the incarcerated one were sitting in the car?
Uh-huh. She calls his cell phone to ask for gas money to put in her car.
We got past that already.
Okay, she pulls up and gets the gas money. She asked me what...
Just a second. You're going too fast.
Okay.
She pulls up.
To get the gas money.
To get the gas money.
She asked me...
Did she get the gas money?
Yes, she got the gas money.
How did she get the gas money?
He got out and gave her the gas money.
He got out of his car. He got out of the... She was. And gave her the gas money. And then what happened?
In the process of him walking to give her the gas money, she asked me what I'm looking at. And then I said... She said, get out the car and said. That's when she jumped out her van, ran over, punched my window, and kicked dents in my car. Then she tried to pull off. I go behind her on the phone talking to APD, giving them her information. She gets back in her car, bag up, start backing into my vehicle. Where's her police report? Why would I try to run you over?
Just a second.
And you don't call the police?
Wait. I'm going to go back to Miss Battle. So what you told me was she backed into your car and then hit it, backed up again and hit it, or closed because it wouldn't close your door. I'd like to see the photographs.
I don't have it.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
I would take photographs. If my car was all banged up like that, I would take photographs to show the police or the court or an insurance adjuster or somebody. You have photographs of your car?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them.
I also have text messages.
I'd like to see it.
And my phone as well.
And I have text messages as well.
You have nothing. I see nothing in front of you.
I have text messages on my phone.
Shh. Is this your car?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see? See, that's what it means when you come prepared. When you come prepared with something other than your mouth. Come prepared with evidence, which you have at your disposal because you have the van. Can I see an estimate for the damage to your car?
Yes, ma'am.
This car's a 10-year-old car. Bird, tell me what the value is of a 2006, please. Buick Lucerne CX, 4-door sedan.
$3,000.
It is for $7,000. That's not reasonable estimate.
Okay.
For a car that's worth $3,000. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all. We're done. All kinds of papers. You're just going to have to answer a few questions, and I'm going to make a decision. This is what the case is about. Mr. Johnson, Ms. Porter, this is your daughter. There was a child support order for Mr. Johnson to pay for support for his daughter until she reached her 18th birthday. And if she was enrolled and attending school beyond her 18th birthday, then he was to continue to pay his child support until she was 21. Is that correct?
Yes.
And when your daughter, whose name is?
Akila.
When Akila graduated high school, she did in fact start college. So you did in fact continue your child support. Period of time are you contesting that you paid child support when Akila was not in school?
I am contesting between August of 2014 to current.
To current?
Yes.
Are you still paying child support?
No, I'm not paying child support right now.
Well, so it's not current.
Okay.
When did it stop?
Till January of 2016.
Now you can stand up, Akila. Akila, were you enrolled and in regular attendance at a college from August 2014 until January of 2016?
No, ma'am. I didn't go to college from August of 15 for the fall semester of 2015.
When did you?
After spring of 2015, I left for a semester, that semester of fall 2015.
Okay, so you were not in school August of 2015
Yes, ma'am.
until semester was over in December.
Correct.
Are you back in school now?
Yes, part-time.
What is part-time?
I take one class.
That's not part-time. That's playing. Now, did you pay child support from August of 2015 until December of 2015?
Yes, I did.
In what amount?
$475.50 a month.
Okay. August, September, October, November, December. Did you pay January?
Yes, I did.
Did you pay February?
No.
Okay, so you did pay January?
Yes.
You have proof of January's payment?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? He paid. So that's 6 months of payments when your daughter wasn't in school.
Right.
And she's still not in school. And did you receive that money?
Yes, I did receive the money.
Then you have to pay it back.
But we did enroll in school for the fall semester of 2015.
I don't care whether you enrolled her in school or not. Your daughter's just said to me she did not go to school in the fall semester of 2015. And he doesn't have to pay support if she's not in school. So you have to return to him $2,631. It's as simple as that. It's a simple math thing. That's why you don't need all this paperwork.
Well, Your Honor, during the time that she was attending school, so...
I don't care.
Okay.
The failing grades weren't part of the deal. It says while she was enrolled as a full-time student beyond the age of 18, you were going to pay child support until she turned 21.
But she was also supposed to maintain a grade.
2631. You don't want to cut her off. I don't think that that's what you're about, Mr. Johnson. Now, you have to pay him back the money. You took it. You knew you weren't entitled to take it for your daughter. You knew that he had fulfilled his obligation for probably many years.
Yes.
No, he did not. I mean,
well,
he didn't.
According to this, he did. Fulfilled his obligation for many years, and you knew that your daughter wasn't in school. I don't know what else she was doing. Either she was sitting up in her room and playing. I don't know what she was doing, but she wasn't going to school, and her father doesn't have to support her. 2631. That's what you owe him. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Ms. Israel, it is your claim that the defendant's son was one of a couple of kids who was a very dangerous prank. Put some pumpkins in the middle of the road. Your car hit 2 of the pumpkins and caused damage to the car.
Yes, ma'am.
According to you, the 2 other young boys who were involved agreed to pay each 1/3 of the damage. And they have, in fact, made that the defendant's son has not.
Yeah.
And she says that he has not paid the restitution because he wasn't involved with the prank.
Correct.
Okay. Tell me when this happened.
This happened on October 17th, around 6:30 to 7 p.m.
You were in your car.
I was in my car going to a friend's house with my fiance. He was driving, and 2 pumpkins were suddenly in the road, but there was nowhere to swerve out of the way. There was a truck coming down the other side. So we hit them, got to our friend's house, pulled over, took a look around the car, and the front was all banged up. There was big chunks of pumpkin all up and through the car. There was radiator fluid leaking, so there was a good amount of damage done.
How did you find the people who were responsible?
We called the police right away. He came and took a look at everything, made a report, and the next morning, the officer gave us a call. That evening, he had found 2 of the kids in the road chucking pumpkins still.
2 of them?
2 of the 3, yes.
Not this young man?
No, he had already gone home.
Well, you don't know that.
Well, according to what the officer told us.
I can't consider what the officer told you. Do you have the names of the other 2 young men?
I do. The names of the other 2 are Cale and Aubrey.
What's Cale's last name?
I don't know.
And what's the other person's name?
Aubrey.
And how do you know them?
They live in my neighborhood.
What were you doing out with them on the 17th?
We were outside playing basketball and stuff.
Look at me. Don't look up there.
They had wanted to go for a bike ride, so we went for a bike ride. So Aubrey said, let's go throw pumpkins in the road. I said, and so they went ahead, put pumpkins in the road.
Did you see them put the pumpkins in the road?
No, ma'am.
Did the police ever speak to you about it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever tell the police that you were involved in putting pumpkins in the road?
No, ma'am.
Do you have anybody else who saw them put pumpkins in the road?
I have the police report.
Well, I'll take a look at the police report.
And the police report states that...
No, don't tell me what it states. The police report speaks for itself. This doesn't say that this young man was involved at all. This is what the officer surmised, that the 3 juveniles were out watching, and it was Aubrey who took the pumpkins from the house.
And I also have text messages, I have the screenshots from Aubrey saying, you were not there. Just tell the cop that you were there.
I'd like to see those, please.
This is the screen. The green is from my son, and this one's from Aubrey.
Okay. Have a case against this young man?
Well, it's my understanding that they were all 3 there and all 3 involved.
I don't care what your understanding is. This is a court, and an witness that places him there actually taking any affirmative action to do anything with a pumpkin or with any object that was placed in the road in order to damage cars. He was, at best, standing there. And that's at best, because when the police came back, they only found 2 people there.
Right.
And this young man was not one of them.
Yes. Right.
You have no case. Case is dismissed. That's all. Thank you.
That's case number 200 on the calendar in the matter of Renner versus Atkinson.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Renner, you claim that the defendant damaged your car at a party after some sort of brawl. I have a second case that I assume has to do with the brawl itself. Let's deal with the dented car first because that's easy. Okay. When was the party? 18th. Whose house was the party in?
Emily's cousin's boyfriend's house.
Emily?
Yes.
That would be you?
Yes.
Emily's cousin's boyfriend's house. How old is Emily's cousin's boyfriend?
20.
And whose house was it?
His.
His or his parents?
His parents.
That's a better answer. Keep your voice up. So it was at his parents' house. Where were the parents?
They were out of town.
Ah! I don't know. I just somehow had looked at all of them and I thought of, Animal House, Free House. How many?
Not sure.
Give me a number. 20?
Maybe a little over.
40?
Probably around there.
Who brought the alcohol to the party?
I have no idea.
Did you bring any alcohol to the party?
No.
Did your boyfriend?
No.
Was there a lot of alcohol at the party?
There was a little bit.
There's never a little bit of alcohol with 40, 20-year-olds. Is there any other recreational drugs there?
Not that I'm aware of.
That you're aware of. Well, that's a reasonable answer. Not necessarily truthful, but a reasonable answer. What time did you arrive at the party?
Probably around 9.
When were you invited to the party?
Probably a week prior to the party.
By whom?
I was invited by Late's cousin.
You invited her? Stand up. How come you were sending out invitations to the party?
That's my boyfriend, and I don't live there, but I stay there a lot. And
do you stay there when his parents are home?
Yes.
What's the matter with your house?
I stay there too. I don't know. Just go out there more.
Where were the boyfriend's parents?
Out of town.
And when were they coming home?
Sunday.
She gave you 2 days to clean up the mess, right? And it would be sort of a common sense thing to figure out that the parents didn't know that 40 people...
No.
Who brought the alcohol?
I don't know about that. I'm thinking everyone just kind of brought their own.
You got there 9 o'clock. She invited you. Tell me what happened.
I got there. I didn't talk to the defendant at all. We weren't speaking then.
You weren't speaking because you were angry with each other?
Yes.
About what?
She brought a lady to my house one time, and I asked her not to. She called me and asked if she could come over, and I said she could, but the other person couldn't, and they brought her anyways, and I got upset and asked them to leave.
A lady or a friend of theirs?
It's a friend of theirs.
Go ahead.
And I told them they could stay, but she had to leave. Yes. And Emily freaked out. She said, you, blah, 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 and then they drove off and left.
How much prior to April 17th did this incident take place?
Probably about a month.
Okay, so now you're there on the 17th, and you're not speaking to Emily, to the defendant.
Yes.
And then what happened?
I was leaving the party. I was...
What time?
Probably around 11, and I was getting in my car. I was talking to a friend of ours. I was about to get in my car, waiting for Brian to get done saying goodbye to everybody. And then Emily comes out, starts stumbling around, yelling at me, you need to get the f out of here. You need to get out of here. Nobody wants you. So I confront her, and I was just like, I'm sorry. You should have told me you didn't want me here. And then more words were exchanged. Emily...
Well, it's not her house.
No.
Miss Atkinson, explain to me why you walked outside. There are certain things that may be in dispute, but certain things are not going to be in dispute. Do you understand?
Yes.
Why did you walk outside?
I walked out there to make sure that nobody was drinking and driving.
You walked out to her car.
No, there was a bunch of cars out there, and I was making sure that nobody was driving off, making sure that everybody was sober that was driving.
Well, how many people were leaving at 11 o'clock? Name them.
Most of the people. I'm not sure who they are.
When you walked out, what did you say to Miss Renner?
I didn't say anything. She said, if you don't want me here, why don't you just say so? So I said, I don't want you here.
Okay.
And then she started getting in my face, and then she just kind of shoved me on my shoulders.
What did you say to her?
I said, I don't want you here. Nobody likes you.
I thought you were just out there to check to make sure you were the safety patrol.
I was.
So what did you get involved with her for?
Because she pushed me.
She was leaving.
Well, I didn't know that. She was pushing me, so I just...
No, she was leaving. You see, you're going to get caught. You're going to get tripped up. Everybody you said was leaving about 11 o'clock. There were a whole bunch of standing outside talking to somebody in her car. That would suggest that she, too, was leaving. So why say anything to her at all?
Because she said something to me. She asked me a question.
What difference? She's leaving. First of all, I don't believe that. Had you had any discussion with her during the time that you were at the party?
No.
So there would be no reason to go outside after her.
I didn't know she was out there.
Now, she says that you pushed her first.
Yeah.
Is that true?
No, Your Honor.
Well, what happened?
When the altercation happened, Emily came up to me when I was in my car, and I did ask her after she said something to me to have told me. And
were you in your car or out of your car?
Out of my car, but my door was open. I was about ready to get into my car. And at that point, the pushing started. I swung at her, didn't make contact, anything like that. And that's when my friend that I was talking to out by my car pulled me away, and that's when Brian came out running, grabbed Emily by the hips, and pulled her away. And then she started to scream that Brian was choking her. Brian was choking her. She was frailing all over the place. She accidentally hit the kid that was trying to pull me away in the face, and then tried to hit Brian, and then that's when everybody else ran out and got in the fight with Brian. Your Honor.
Yeah, but what happened to your car?
My driver's side door, and then as we were leaving, pulling off, she kicked the very back of my car.
Could I see the photographs of the damage, please?
Do you want the estimate, too?
Yes.
And the back, when she kicked the back, it didn't do any damage, so I didn't get an estimate for that. It just left some dirt.
Well, I can hardly see anything, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Go.
I didn't kick the door. I didn't touch it.
I don't see any damage to the car, quite frankly, Miss Renner. I don't see any. Let's take care of the second case, please.
It's case number 10 versus Bethel.
Switch over. Why don't you move to the other side? All right, get back to April 17th. Now you're suing him for assault.
Yes.
Were you arrested for an assault?
No, ma'am.
Go ahead.
When I walked out there, Jesse was confronting me, and then we got into the argument and the pushing and stuff. And then after somebody held my hands behind my back, Jesse punched me in the forehead, and then Brian came up from behind me and grabbed me like this around my neck
and lifted me off the ground, and I was holding onto his arm saying, "Stop, you're choking me." Angela ran up and started pulling on his arm. He dropped me, threw her on the ground, and then started swinging it at everybody else that had ran out there by then.
And what were you doing?
Everybody was pushing me back, trying to get me away. I was crying.
How much did you have to drink that day?
I just had a couple beers.
You have a medical report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. You have a police report?
I don't.
Why not?
Because I tried to drop it. I didn't want to get anybody in trouble. And then they just kept writing things about me and stuff and texting me.
Tell me what he was doing to you.
He wrapped his arm off the ground, and I was hanging on right here, and I said, "Stop, you're choking me," and he just kept hanging me there, and then my friend came up and started like pulling on his arm, and then he dropped me and threw her on the ground.
Well, you have no injuries consistent with that story. The only injuries that the doctor notes was elbow, hand, and wrist.
Yeah, that was when he was choking me, and I was swinging my arms, and I hit the back of it.
You didn't tell me you were swinging your arms. You said you put your hands around him to get you off. The only injuries that they report were your elbow, the back of your hand, and wrist.
Yes, I was holding on like this, and I did swing at him.
Mm-hmm.
I have a picture of my hand, too.
Be inconsistent with anything that he is alleged to have done to you. I think there was a brawl out there, and I don't know who was drinking and who was not drinking.
I also have a picture of Jesse drinking at this party.
That's fine. Were you drinking?
Yes.
I know you were. Were you drinking?
Mm-hmm.
There was a big party there with a bunch of 20-year-olds because the parents were out of town. How many other people got involved with this brawl outside?
I know that Brian punched his own brother in the face.
How many other people got involved in the brawl outside?
There was probably about 5 or 6 people trying to separate it.
Great. That's why 20-year-olds aren't allowed to drink. Are they allowed to drink where you live?
No.
Okay. So, consistent with what you say this young man did to you, I don't see any damage to your car.
Okay.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Fowler, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for 2 loans. He was your boyfriend for a period of time. Mr. Dewan says that there was never an agreement with regard to either of the cash gifts that you made to him to return that money. Mr. Dewan, when did you meet Miss Fowler?
It was about December.
Of 2009?
2009.
And when did you start to date?
About 3 months after that.
So sometime in March?
Sometime in March.
And when for the first time did Miss Fowler either give you money or buy you a major thing?
I believe about 3 weeks later, she bought the Land Rover for me. Really liked the Land Rover. I have 2 vehicles. I have a work truck, and then I wanted a second vehicle. And I found a Land Rover that I liked, and she basically surprised me with the purchase of it.
You have to be more specific with me because, you know, I'm not as sharp as I used to be. What do you mean that she surprised you with it? Explain
well, not necessarily
to me step by step.
Not necessarily
step
a surprise.
Step by step.
I found a Land Rover. I told her how much it was, and she...
Found the Land Rover. Were you alone when you found the Land Rover?
Yes, I was.
Did you find it on a lot or with a private party?
Private party.
Who?
It was on the street corner, and it was just a guy from the public, a stranger, basically.
Did it have a sign in it?
It had a for sale sign on it. It was on a very visible street.
So you saw it?
Mm-hmm.
And after you saw it, where did you go?
I didn't go anywhere.
Well, how does she find
it?
Oh, so tell me where you were when you told her about it.
I told her over the phone.
Tell me about it. You picked up the phone.
Picked up the phone, and earlier in the week she had said she was going to be getting a sum of money from...
For what?
I believe a divorce or some kind of a settlement.
So you knew she was coming into a lot of money?
She bragged that she had a large sum of money.
Coming in?
Already had.
Already had it?
Already had it.
Well, just for my own curiosity, what did she say to you about this large sum of money?
She didn't really go into details, but it's more or less just bragging that, you know, I've got some money.
Got some money from a divorce?
I believe so.
Okay. So you picked up the phone and you called her. All that money is sitting there. Now, you called her and said, honey, sweetie, cupcake. I saw a car that I liked. Keep going.
Saw a car that I liked, and...
And she said, I want to hear the Mr. Dewan, did you actually think this was going to be easy, sir?
I know.
You knew it wasn't going to be easy.
I didn't plan on that.
Yeah. So, saw a car that I liked, because she wasn't, you know, she wasn't a clairvoyant, so she couldn't have known about it unless you told her about it. And I assume by that time you had already found out from the telephone number on the car sign how much the owner wanted for it.
It's a very good deal.
How much was it? So now we're on the phone with Cupcake.
Mm-hmm. And told her about the car, and that, you know, I really liked it, and it was a good deal, and, you know, didn't want to pass it up. She said, okay, well, if you really like it, I'll get it for you.
And?
And we...
Did you have money for it?
What's that?
What part of... Did you have money for it? Didn't you understand?
Did I have money for it? No, I did not.
Then why were you looking for a car?
Well, I was driving. I've always liked the Land Rover personally.
When I was a civil servant and I was earning, enough to keep me reasonably with my family and my children, I used to like to look at Bulgari diamonds too, but I didn't come for me. If you didn't have the money for a car and you already had a car, what were you doing looking for a car?
I needed a second vehicle to drive.
Why?
Work truck.
You have one behind. What did you need 2 cars for?
One's a work truck. And
so it got you from one place to another.
I do various activities.
You do what?
I do various activities when I'm not working.
Like what?
Camping and whatnot.
Well, you can do that with a truck, sir, unless what you did was her money was burning a hole in your pocket. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone shopping. I might have passed by a car and looked at it and said, gee, I wish I had money for that car. But I certainly wouldn't have made the call to the owner. Do you know what I mean, Mr. Dewan?
What you mean?
According to you. If you really like it, I'll get it for you. And then what happened?
I was at work and she went and paid for the vehicle, picked the keys up and the title.
Well, how did she know that? How did she know where to go? How did she know who to call? How did she know all these things?
When I talked to her, I gave her the guy's information that was selling the car and told her, to work it out with him, picking the car up.
What?
You know how you see a cat playing with a mouse and you let him go a little while to catch him, bring him back?
Am I that mouse?
He thinks that you're not really a vino man. You're just a user. They don't have money. You don't have money, and you look in the store window and you see a pair of Jimmy Choo shoes, and they're $900. And you say to yourself, oh, my God, did you ever think more than I paid for my first car for a pair of shoes? I'd never think of buying those shoes. If I was with Warren Buffett, and he said, gee, you really like those shoes? You might buy them for me. You can't have a big appetite in somebody else's refrigerator. How much after April did the two of you split up?
How much into April?
Yeah.
Probably a week into April, maybe.
So you had the car for about a week or two?
I've had it for probably a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks?
Yep.
She didn't even get her money's worth out of the car. What was the $400 for, Mr. Dewan? Is not an answer.
That was for my mortgage payment.
And when was that, sir?
I don't know an exact date.
What month?
It was about April.
About April, so maybe a week before you broke up.
Maybe 2 weeks before we broke up.
The car?
Yes, ma'am.
You still have the house?
Yes, ma'am.
You owe her $2,900.
Excuse me, step out. Yeah, it's case number 64 on the calendar in the matter of Catcher-Side versus Teachner.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Catcher-Side, how long have you lived in your home?
About 27 months.
How large a property do you have?
The property that I have now is 100 by 125.
You decided to sell a piece of your property to the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
What you sold to him?
I sold the defendant a parcel that bordered my 2 other properties and his property. That property was 37 feet by 125 feet.
So you already lived there?
I've lived there since 1970.
And you just took this little piece of property?
Yes, ma'am.
To annex onto yours. How much did you pay for it?
$3,000.
That's not true, Your Honor.
How much did he pay for it?
He paid me $3,000 initially and then another payment of $700 towards the dividing fence.
I don't want to hear about the dividing fence.
It was $3,700 then would be the total for the property.
I would like to see the bill of sale.
Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, the sale price of this house was $3,000. In addition, buyer agrees to pay 50% of the cost of a privacy fence dividing the property. Okay, now, this is what the case is about. You built the fence.
Yes, ma'am.
There's no allegation here with regard to payment for the fence. That's not what your lawsuit is about. I'm just telling you. It has nothing to do with payment for the fence.
He failed to pay according to the agreement. The sales
lawsuit. You filed the complaint. You show me in this complaint where you are suing for the fence.
Well, this isn't the original lawsuit, Your Honor. The original suit, damages for the fence, is in the original suit.
Well, sir.
This is a summary of all the different things I sued for.
These are your options. I can continue with this case as it was filed and as he was served, because this is what he received, your complaint. I can continue with the case based upon me to dismiss the entire matter without prejudice, and you want to go back to, I think you come from Illinois.
I'll continue, Your Honor.
Fine. Okay, So now my understanding is that you decided, for whatever reason, after living in your house for a couple of years, that you wanted to fence your entire property. And your entire property has neighbors on all sides. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
So the only side of the fence that was impacted by the building of this four-sided fence was his, with regard to the aesthetics of it. Because part of what you're complaining about, sir, is that he painted the fence or stained the fence that divided your property that you didn't like.
Yes, ma'am. Him and I discussed what the color of the stain was going to be the day before, and he told me that he wanted to paint it red because his house was red. And I said, no, I'm the owner of the fence. I want to paint the fence a neutral color that will kind of blend in between your house and my house.
Just a minute, I'll get to
I'll get some samples tomorrow, and we will discuss what neutral color to paint the fence.
Just a second. Mr. Tricia, I'll get to you in a minute.
Okay, I'm sorry. The next day, I left the house to go run errands, and when I came home, he had painted the fence what he called redwood stain, clearly red. I have photos.
Take a look at the photos. Now, did he paint your side of the fence too?
No, he was smart enough not to do that.
Just a second. So he just a second.
Excuse me?
So he painted the side of the fence.
Your Honor, that fence is on my property, not his.
Mr. Ketcherside, pay attention to me. He painted the side of the fence that faces his property a red stain. I'm forming a visual.
Here's a perfect visual picture.
I want you to answer my question.
Okay.
So he painted the fence that only the side that faced his property, a fence that you put in the contract he was to pay for that he wanted.
No, I didn't agree to a color he wanted.
No. What he did was he painted the side of the fence. You know, you're obstinate. He painted the side of the fence that faced his property, a fence that he was required to pay half for.
Which did not.
You're not paying attention.
Okay, all right.
A color that pleased him. That's what you're complaining about.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I'll take a look at your picture.
In the pictures, it does show the property line where the fence is built on my property. He had to trespass onto my property to paint the fence.
Is that by walking up to this fence to paint it or to have it painted, he was on your property?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, baloney. Baloney.
Well, he was, ma'am.
Baloney.
There's pictures there that show
baloney. That faces his house.
It may face his house, but it's on my property. I paid $4,500. He paid $7,000.
Now, this is the color that you're complaining about?
That's the color of my house. That's the color I painted without any question my fence.
Just a second. You painted this, so this is what you look at.
Yes, ma'am.
That matches the trim of your house.
Yes, ma'am.
And this red here.
My house is in the backdrop.
Just a second. This is your house.
Yes, ma'am.
On the other side of this is his house.
A complete property over.
I want you to answer my question.
Yes, ma'am.
You have a complete fence around all the property.
Yes, ma'am.
The only way you can see this color is by going around all the fences and looking from his side of the property.
No, ma'am, that's not the only way.
Well, what other way can you do it? You can do it with a drone.
It's completely visible to the rest of the neighborhood, anybody on the street, anybody on the sidewalk.
Who cares? That has nothing color. That has nothing to do with you. So your house is completely surrounded by a fence that's painted this dark color that's consistent with your trim on your house, which it absolutely is consistent with the trim on your house. And that's the only thing that you see when you look out your windows. Am I making myself clear? Do you understand that? I want to make sure that 10 million people understand this. When you look out your kitchen window, your living room window, your bedroom window, your bathroom window, the only color fence you see from inside your house, from your backyard, that your children see, that your grandchildren see, that your wife sees, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. And you see that he has painted the fence that faces his property a color that you didn't like. And what do?
I went over to his house, went inside his house.
Just a second. Let's do this slowly. You went to his house.
I went to his house.
Was his door open?
The front door was open. The screen door was closed.
Did you ring a bell?
No, he saw me coming.
Don't tell me what he saw. Did you ring a bell?
No.
Did you knock at the door?
No.
Did someone say, come in?
Yes.
Who?
He did, and his helper there.
So you
she
stood
actually
out.
Opened the door.
Yeah.
You're his home health aide.
Yeah. I'm with him.
Do you live together, or are you his aide?
No, we're good friends.
Okay, so she let you in. And where was he when she let you in?
He was sitting on his couch on the end of the couch.
And what did you do?
I stood back away from him at least
How
8
far
feet.
away?
I was at least 8 feet away. The coffee table and the living room distance was between me and him. I just stepped in through the door.
And?
And I pointed my finger at him like this and raised my voice and told him how mad I was and upset. And
No,
I
want you to tell me exactly what you said.
I said, I am so upset with you, dude. The only recourse I'm going to have is to take you to court. And he started calling me a son of a... And I turned around and left. As I got about 3 feet away from the front door, he still was calling me a son of a... and told me he was going to get even with me and take care of me. Well, I already know that he has a history.
No.
Okay.
Don't tell me what you know. So you said...
So, knowing that he has a rifle standing at his door, I turned around and went back in, and I said, are you going to threaten me?
No, just a second. Now, you're almost out the door. And when you went back in, where did you go? Back
3 or 4 feet closer to him.
So now,
there was a coffee table between
where you were 8
us.
feet away, when you were pointing your finger at him...
No, I wasn't pointing my finger at him that time.
No, you were... Pay attention. When you were 8 feet away from him and pointing your finger at him, you were 8 feet away.
Right.
Now he says, I know, whatever, and you know he's got a rifle, and you know, so then you turned around and came back and went closer to him.
Yes, ma'am.
So now instead of being 8 feet away, you're 3 feet away.
No, I was about 4 feet away.
Now you're 4 feet away.
It does make a difference, Your Honor.
4 feet. So now you're separating you from where the defendant is sitting on the sofa.
The corner of his coffee table.
And then?
Well, first he repeats what I am again, and I said, you'd better stop saying that. You're not insulting me. You're insulting my mother.
Oh,
and I'm not going to put up with that. I'm sorry, Your Honor. That's why I was raised.
Come on. Let's go.
So
let's go.
Anyway, he just kept saying it, and then he picks up a Pepsi can and throws it at me, and I swerved where he couldn't hit me with it. When I swerved, he still hit me in the chest.
Just a second. Are you telling me that the soda can, because he did throw a soda can, and I don't believe that because I read your answer, but now are you telling me that the soda can, pay careful attention because I have what you wrote, now are you telling me that the soda can hit you in the chest? Be careful what you answer, because you already made one mistake in what you wrote. Are you telling me now that the soda can hit you in the chest?
Yes, ma'am, it did. It's in the police statement. That's what I said.
Oh, just a second. I'm just going to read it right here. You never said in your complaint that the soda can hit you in the chest. This is what you said, because that would be important if actually the thing that he prepared, he was enraged. He called me and threw a soda can at me. I lost my balance and fell over him.
Yes, ma'am.
I regained my balance and left the house.
That was the physical part of it. I didn't, in the complaint, put that the can hit me. I did say to the policeman
You didn't put the can hit you because it never happened. The police were called. You told that story to the police, that he hit you with a soda can, so they wouldn't arrest you for assaulting him.
No, ma'am.
Just a second.
I don't lie. I don't lie.
Who called the police?
He called the police while I was at the police department making a statement. It says so right in the police report.
I want to see the police report.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
You have your copy of the police report? I'd like to see it. I want you to read this police report, and you tell me anywhere, sir, that it says that you told the police that the soda can hit you in the stomach. That's the police report you handed me. Point it out. I may be missing it. Bird will give you a pen.
I apologize, Your Honor. I thought I put it in this police statement.
Right.
But the fact is, he threw the Pepsi can at me. When I tried to miss it, my hip that's scheduled to be replaced gave out on me, and that's why I lunged forward. You know, contact with him. They both admitted in the police report.
Don't tell me what they admitted. So far, Mr. Kirchner, you understand that I'm not completely sympathetic with your position.
Yes, ma'am.
He doesn't have to look at a fence that matches the color of the trim on your house. And the fact that you were irritated by that, and there's no question that you went into his house and you were irritated. Now, he's I would say, slightly more frail than
yes,
you
ma'am.
are.
Exactly why a Marine would not do anything
just a second,
to him.
Just a second. Then you should have gotten control of yourself before you went storming over to the house. Because you're storming over to the house, somebody who can. Discrepancy, sir. We've had a discrepancy over the filing of the complaint. We've had a discrepancy, you and I, as to whether or not you were actually hit with the soda can, which you weren't. You and I have had a discrepancy on whether or not you were protecting your mother's honor when he called you a... because that's the way you were raised. You have to understand that I find all of those things suspect. The truth of the matter is, you were royally miffed.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not denying that.
And you went over to his home in an aggressive manner. Now, does that justify him throwing a soda can at you? No. Does it justify and coming back into the house? The answer is no. So the second part of your case is whether or not I feel, based only upon what you told me, not even what he told me, whether or not he was justified in filing for a protective order to prevent you from coming over to his house again. I find that he was perfectly justified in seeking
the other judge didn't think so.
That's what makes a ball game. He may have believed the baloney story that you just told me about defending your mother's honor. I find that he was perfectly justified in wanting to keep you away. The lawsuit has to do with the painting of the side of the fence that faces his house and damages for that. I'm dismissing that. I believe that he doesn't have to look at a brown fence facing his house if it's inconsistent with what pleases his eye, just as you don't have to look at a color that's inconsistent with what pleases you. Now, I have to see what other possible lawsuit you have here. Punitive damages for stress, harassment, and defamation. Well, now, I'll hear the defamation. Defamation is?
Falsely making statements about me in public.
I'd like to hear witnesses to testify to that.
In his own filing of his lawsuit against me, he states that I lied under oath.
You did lie under oath to me today, sir, at least twice. Your case is dismissed.
Fine.
Now, you're not leaving yet. Money owed for assault, punitive damages for elder abuse. Now, Mr. Teacher.
Yes, ma'am.
There's no question he never hit you. I'm going to read the police report again.
All right.
I spoke to Ruth Gage. That's you. Yeah. Who was at Ronald's house during the incident. Gage said that there was something thrown and Bobby fell close to Ronald. Gage said that neither side actually physically touched each other during the incident. That's what you told the police, correct? Yeah, good. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye, gentlemen.
It's case number 225 on the calendar in the matter of Hill versus Soto.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Miss Hill, you own a condominium.
Yes.
How long have you owned the condo?
Since 1996, like almost 20 years.
Did you ever reside there yourself?
Yes, I did.
From when to when?
From when I purchased it till 2013.
And what happened in 2013?
2013, I moved out, and I moved with my sister. And I rented it out prior, before I rented.
13, you rented it somewhere. Okay. And when did Miss Soto begin renting the condo?
December of 2014.
And you evicted her when?
I didn't evict her. I gave her a 90-day notice.
When?
It was 3 months before I evicted her. Had her move out. It was 3 months before then. I gave her a 90-day notice, and then she wanted to move out in June, so I allowed her to move out in June because she was supposed to move out in July.
Did she have security deposit with you?
Yes, she did.
In what amount?
It was $1840.
Did you return her security deposit?
No, I did not.
And you moved into an apartment right next door?
Correct, Your Honor.
And was that your intention when you gave her the 90-day notice to move back into your apartment?
Yes.
Now you want to tell me what you're suing her for?
I'm suing her for damages that she had done to my property.
Like what kind of damages?
Like the carpet. She had the dog urinating and boo-booing on the carpet.
Did you do a walkthrough with Miss Soto?
No.
Why not?
Well, she was next door, and I wasn't giving her back her deposit because after I seen how the place was left.
When you looked in the apartment and you saw the condition of the apartment, why didn't you do a walkthrough with her?
Well, I didn't do a walkthrough with her, but I did send her the paperwork.
I'd like to see what you sent her. Miss Hill, you moved in 1996. When you left the apartment in 2013, had you put in all new carpet?
No. I had new carpet in the back bedrooms.
In what year did you put in new carpet in the 2 back bedrooms?
That would have been like 2011.
So 2 years before you rented it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 or more years ago, right?
Yeah.
And you moved in what year? 14?
Correct, Your Honor.
So you had a tenant there for a year from 13 to 14?
Yes.
Who, one male?
And his girlfriend and their baby.
So 3 people, including an infant?
Yes.
And they lived there for about a year or more?
Well, he lived there, and then he ended up moving her in, and then she ended up having a baby. She was pregnant.
And the carpet in the living room, you hadn't replaced at all?
No.
So that's at least 20 years old?
No.
Well, you bought the apartment in 1996.
It
was
wasn't
2016.
I put that carpet in maybe like 5 years after I had moved there.
So it's 15 years old.
I don't think it's that long, but okay. It was still in great condition.
I'd like to see pictures of it. And when she moved out, that would be helpful to me.
And those two. This is before she moved in. Those are the before she moved in. You snickering for?
When was this picture taken?
This is when
was this picture taken?
2014.
You showed this to the defendant, asked her if that's what the kitchen looked like when she moved in.
Pretty close.
Okay.
Pretty close.
Okay, now I would like to see a photograph of the kitchen when she moved out. There you go. I just want to ask the defendant if this is the way she left the kitchen when she moved out.
Your Honor, I have the date of
Just
when.
a second.
Absolutely not, Your Honor. That's not how I left it, no.
Actually, I got the date and I got the pictures in my phone.
I can tell you on that what date that was probably taken on, though.
Why don't you tell me?
Okay.
The 16th.
I initially was supposed to move out on the 11th. She contacted me, asked her if I could change it into the 15th because she wanted to get the extra 2 weeks rent from Section 8. She needed the money. I said, okay, as long as my paperwork says the 11th or the 10th, as long as they're okay. So she signed a paper. We changed the date. So then on the 11th.
Don't speak now.
And so.
Miss Hill.
Yes.
Don't speak.
Okay.
So on the 11th, Your Honor, I can admit that it was not up to par. On the 11th, it was kind of a mess. Yes, like that. Everything that was left there was going to go in the trash. All my stuff I was keeping was already moved into the new unit next door. I'm by myself. I didn't have a lot of help, so I was doing it little by little. She showed up on the 11th, unannounced, uninvited, illegally entered my home, I believe, when she probably took those pictures. I came back. I said, what are you doing here? I'm not, we agreed I was moving out on the 15th. Oh, well, I wasn't sure, and I have people coming to do estimates for the carpet and for the floors. And can you please come back on the 15th, and then all my stuff will be gone by then.
Okay.
Your Honor, I have the pictures right here, and they'll tell you the date when I took them. I took them on the 16th. I took all of them on the 16th. She had a house full of stuff.
16th.
On the 16th. These, and I have the ones for the 10th, too, if you want to see those. And then I have...
Just a second. Just show me the 16th,
These are the
please.
16th. All of these.
From Thursday, June 16th.
Looks like you left a lot of stuff in the pictures that I'm looking at from the 16th.
She did ask me to come get a few things.
Is that correct?
Correct.
That you left a lot of stuff in the apartment?
A lot, no. There was a few things I did leave that I came back when she said, noticed it was in the closet or something. I came back and got them when she told me to.
You have $2,000 of money, more than enough to cover cleanup. She's not putting in new carpeting anywhere in this.
I didn't ask her to put in new carpet.
Well, you did. You have that here.
That's not the whole price of the carpet.
No, just, I don't.
Okay.
You have $775 for carpet for the 2 bedrooms. She's not putting in new carpet for the bedrooms, unless you have proof that you redid the carpet.
Well, the whole thing is she had urinated and had, I have pictures of the dog have a new baby in that house. I'm not going to be putting my baby in no house with no stained carpet.
You should replace the carpet.
Anyway.
She's not paying for it. The other part of the lawsuit that I do have interest in, since you already took her security deposit of $1,800, which more than covers cleanup, is the issue of homeowners association fines that you had to pay, and that was for her dog. I'd like to take a look at those. And I'd like you to tell me, did you notify her of these fines?
Yes.
Okay.
I have those on my phone, too.
I have on May 1st of 2015, dog mess in common area. So they charged you $100 for that. And then carpet cleaning in common area. I would like to see the letter. Do I have the letter that they sent?
Yeah, they have the letters. I have the letters there, and also I have the picture of the dog urinating.
Okay, this is May 24th, and this you are absolutely responsible for. The Board of Directors has determined that as the unit owner, she's responsible for the first floor common area carpet cleaned and the baseboards replaced where your tenant's dog has used it to defecate and urinate. $5 plus $100 for continual noncompliance by your tenant. Okay, so that's $525.
Okay.
And I have a picture of her new dog coming into my house.
I don't care about that. It's not part of this case. The drive-through gate that you hit.
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Okay. And so it's $525, and you hit the drive-through gate?
No, I didn't, Your Honor. I have proof from the gate company that stating that they had to come out on a call to fix the gate because the gate hit my car. It hit my car. I did not hit the gate. I have proof right here.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
$397 is what they charged her.
And they asked if
$525 for your dog.
And here it is when they responded what they found.
I'd like to see it.
That's hearsay. Anybody can wrote that.
Would you show this to the plaintiff?
This is the bill.
No, read what it says.
Okay. But she had a chance to come to the HOA meeting and defend herself on that, and she never did. And I was trying to defend her. You've seen her literally pushing the car because it wouldn't go in reverse or something like that. And they literally seen her pushing the car over, and that I didn't have any choice but to pay it because it's on my ledger. Because they said she did it.
Yes.
Your Honor, I was in the
My
car. I was in the car with her when it pushed clothes on her. My mom has a hernia disc in her back. She has no way that she could even pick up or push up a gate that heavy for it to
Why
go in.
didn't she go to the homeowners association?
I was never informed, Your Honor.
Yes, she was.
And yeah, can I see the proof where you paid the bill?
I'm not paying it, you.
Okay, she said she paid for it. That's all I'm just wondering.
You just said you paid. I am.
Your Honor.
This to them, part of the bill.
Okay.
Got it? Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $525.
Well, Your
That's to
Honor,
do with
Your
your
Honor,
dog.
Your Honor, look, I have proof that she has damaged my property.
You kept almost $2,000.
I have
Listen
my
to me.
bill for my painter and everything.
Listen to me. She's not making you a new condo. You had that condo
I know
for
exactly
20.
what
Listen
she's-
carefully. I'm leaving. You had the condo for 20 years.
Right.
You rented it. Now you want to move back into it with a new baby. I'm speaking.
Hold up.
I'm speaking.
Yes.
I'm speaking. She's
I got
not
some-
giving you a new condo for $4,000.
that.
You understand that? $525. You two are neighbors. You have a large dog.
Yes.
How many?
I have one.
One. What kind of a dog?
She's a Malamute.
Weighs about 90 pounds?
90 pounds.
Bit the plaintiff's dog.
Yes.
When was that?
June 8th.
And your dog was seen by the vet, and the vet bill was how much?
First vet bill was $310.
Just a second. The vet bill was how much?
$310.
And you presented the bill to Ms. Grimshaw, and she paid you.
Correct.
$310. She accepted responsibility.
Correct.
This case isn't about that. This case is about a subsequent visit to the vet where your dog was diagnosed with a hernia. And you want Ms. Grimshaw to be responsible for the hernia surgery for the dog as well. That's what the case is about. I see you don't have a vet here, so you don't have an expert witness. So let's see if there's any proof that would satisfy me that the dog bite that Ms. Grimshaw acknowledges that was her responsibility and this hernia operated on for a hernia.
The 19th of June.
So we're talking roughly 10 days after the incident.
Correct.
Do you have any medical record from
Yes, ma'am.
the doctor with a report
Yes,
with
ma'am.
regard to the hernia? I'd like to see it. Okay. Do you want to take a look at these?
Yes.
Have you seen them?
No, I have not.
Your Honor, we took that report over to her.
We tried.
Ms. Grimshaw, while I tell you that there is a suggestion in the report that this hernia that was repaired was 2 centimeters away from the wound area, one of the wound areas, because there were multiple wounds on the dog, it's certainly not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. I have a couple of questions for you. After the 8th of June, did your dog get out again?
No.
Yes, she did.
On what date?
Oh, that's a good question. The 17th is when I called the vet because I found the lump on his side by the bite mark. So it was the 17th because I took him in that same day.
Tell me where you saw her dog on the 17th.
In front of her yard, I was on the mailbox because he was still recovering and he was in a lot of pain. Anyway, make a long story short, I saw her dog out. He kind of freaked out when he saw her. And so I just picked him up and that's when I found the lump.
The dog was out without a leash?
Correct. She's been out
About 6 times since they've been living next door to us.
Has the dog been out since June 17th?
No, I have not seen her.
Where is the dog?
At my house. You have proof my dog was out on the 17th? Sorry.
When did you get this dog?
A little over 10 years ago.
When did you move into the neighborhood?
Almost 5.
Anything unusual going on in your household in the month of June?
No, nothing.
Without a leash?
It was by accident. The pool guy went in through our side gate, and the latch wasn't closed all the way when he shut it, and my dog happened to push it open, and she got out.
The latch, I'm sorry.
Did you tell Miss Grimshaw that her dog was out again?
No, I did not.
No, we asked her many times to put a lock on that gate. And the day this happened at first, we asked her to put a lock on the gate, and I think the lock just got on the gate about a week ago. So
did you change the lock?
There was never a lock on there. There is a lock on there now, yes.
So that was done recently?
Yes.
Good idea. Bill for the hernia surgery, please.
Yes, ma'am. Top one should go first.
one's for the exam, and the other one's for the surgery.
How old is your dog?
He's 5, and he's a rescue from the Silky Foundation. We've had him since November 2013.
And it was on the 17th that you noticed this lump around the wound
Yes.
site? Okay. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so when she confronted me with this second bill for $956, 9 days after the initial attack, and I told her specifically how your dog was in your care for 9 days, and she told me my dog was sedated for 9 days. So how was your dog out on the 17th walking around?
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,002, which is what you're suing for. We're done. Thank you.
It's case number 418 on the calendar in the matter of Copes versus Copes. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat. You're welcome, Judge.
This is your mom.
Yes.
And it is your claim that as a result of her fraudulently using your identity, she's put you in substantial debt, your credit is ruined, and you want her to be responsible for that. That's what the case is about. How old are you, Miss Copes?
I'm 23.
Tell me what you do.
I'm a nanny.
Who do you live with?
I live with my stepmother.
How long have you lived with her?
Often raised me my whole life. I moved back with her when I was 20 years old.
Who had you lived with before you were 20?
My grandmother. And then when I was 17, I was living with my mother.
So until you were 17, you lived with your grandmother?
No. Before that, I was with my stepmom. My stepmom raised me, but I lived with my grandma for a year.
How long in total? You're 23 years old now. During what period of time, say after you were 10, did you live with your mother?
No.
You lived with her for a short time when you were 17?
Yes.
For how long?
For a year. I went to school in Sacramento with her.
What happened when you were 17?
So I moved homeless, but...
Who was homeless?
Me and my mother. We were staying at her friend's house because me and my dad had got into an altercation.
You and your father?
Yeah. So I ended up moving with my mother. And, you know, I was 17. I really wanted to see my mother, and I wanted to be with her. And, yeah.
Was it during that time that you allege that your identity was taken when you were 17? And Ms. Copes, you've been convicted of fraud and identity theft, is that right?
Yes.
How many times?
Once.
When?
2 years ago.
How many counts of identity theft were you charged with?
I don't know, like 3.
Were you incarcerated at any time?
Yes.
For how long?
Years.
And that was 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It's not an answer. Yes is an answer.
Yes.
Now, did you ever open any lines of credit or open any credit cards using your daughter's name?
No.
Did you ever sign a lease, a phone plan, anything using your daughter's name?
No.
Never. Could you show me, please, Ms. Copes, one piece of proof?
I have an eviction notice in my name. Would you like to?
Yeah, I see it, yes.
Sorry. It's a couple papers. And I also have a, sorry.
When's your birthday? So in January of that year, you were 17.
Yeah.
And unable to execute a lease.
I'm not sure what that means.
You were unable to sign a lease. It's a contract.
Yes.
And based upon this lease, is that when you were living with your mother that 1 year?
Yes, it was.
Based upon that, because she didn't pay rent, they...
For 2 years. For a year, I believe.
They gave her a notice to quit. And is that one of the charges that's against your credit?
Yet, no. I have, Your Honor, I'm in $10,000 in debt. And
I understand that, but...
It's other things, sorry.
So this, although this is an example of her signing your name and your social security number to a lease when you were a minor, which she can't do, what other examples do you have for me? That's enough, by the way, but I'd like to see what other examples you have.
I have bills that she got in my name, like SMUD bills.
What kind of?
SMUD bill. It's like electricity bill.
Can I see that? Is that for this apartment?
Yeah, but I don't believe this is recently. Because I went to get a restraining order for a kick-out notice because she had my identification and I need to get evidence. And this is the only thing I found was a SMUD bill in my name. And I called them and they said that
What other proof do you?
And they
This
said
is 2012.
And they said that she called in and gave them my social and they just turned on SMUD.
Can I see the fallout from these bills that you have in your name?
My credit report?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. This one's probably clearer. I have several of them. Let me give you this one too.
Are you going to school? Do you work?
I'm trying to go back to school right now. I'm a nanny. I nanny for 2 kids.
How long have you worked for that same family?
For a year now.
How much do you earn?
$400 a week.
And you're living with your stepmother?
Yes.
Do you pay her any rent?
Yes, I do.
How much do you pay her?
Right now I'm on Section 8.
$100 a?
$100 a month, and then they pay the rest for me.
Is she in your apartment or you're in her apartment?
I'm in her house.
And Section 8 pays her rent?
Yeah.
So how much do they pay for you?
They pay $800 because the cost of living out there is like $1,300 for a 1-bedroom. And so I was accepted for a housing voucher. And so I was looking for a place. I couldn't find a place, and my stepmother, she just welcomed me in and said that we can go do the process.
I would too. She gets an additional $900 a month, what she used to give you for free, which is to live with her, right?
Yeah. But I was living, got done with living with
No,
my...
I understand that. I'm just trying to see
Yeah.
whether it's very nice. She raised you. You lived with her and your father.
No, my dad, he's not around.
Was he married to her? Well, you said you lived with him.
Okay, so it was often, me and my dad had a bad relationship. It was really bad. My stepmom, she took me in. She was like, I'm a woman. I need to take care of her. She's becoming a lady. So she's been taking care of me my whole life. And then she's always told me, like, she always tried to keep me away from my mom because she knew what was going on. But I was so happy with my mom. But her and my dad are not together. She just took me in as a daughter.
What is this auto sales?
Oh, so that I tried to go get a car because I wanted to do Uber and stuff, and I couldn't get a car
because of your credit history.
Yeah, at first I thought it was due to me being young, but I really found out that my credit was really messed up when I went to go open a bank account for Chase, and they just closed my account and told me that I couldn't get a bank account with them due to my credit. And so I went on credit report and tried to figure out what's going on and seeing bunch of these bills. I'm building up to the point that the credit billers collected it.
Was any of this debt reduced to judgment, do you know?
Not sure.
You don't know if it was reduced to a judgment. Did anybody advise you how to rebuild your credit?
No.
I mean, you're young.
I don't know any of, I really don't know none of this stuff. I just started realizing that credit is your life.
It is. Unless you'd be lucky enough to be able to pay for everything in cash, which there are very few people who are able to do that. When you get paid by your employer now, $400 a week, what do you do with it?
I save it. I put it in my, because I have a prepaid card, so I go and I just...
They refuse to open an account for you? Yeah. Okay. I mean, this is one of those, you had me at hello when your mother testified that she never signed anything on your behalf when you were underage. That's a lie. You signed a lease for her when she was underage. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $5,000. We're done here.
Thank you.
Mr. Haga, I'm going to start with you, sir. Okay? You and Miss Snyder were dating.
Yes.
You were having some trouble with a car, and you needed a loan.
No, I never.
You didn't have a car.
Correct.
And you needed a car.
Correct.
And you had that discussion with the plaintiff. The fact that you needed a car because you were dating.
Correct.
You needed a car to get to work, take care of your daily business, make a living.
Correct.
All true. Now, when you had that conversation, right?
Correct.
What credit card did she have access to? Do you know?
It was her bank card.
Okay. So you were dating sufficiently to know that she had money on a bank card that she could take a loan out on.
I don't know anything about a loan.
No, that she could take, not you. We're not talking about you. Pay careful attention. Put on your listening ears. A bank card that she could get cash from, but she had to pay it because you get a bill at the end of that, unless it's a savings account or a checking account where you have money.
Correct.
And you were aware of the fact, sir, that the money that she was giving you was coming from money off this card that had a monthly payment. I'm looking at your answer, so just remember, you swore to an answer.
Correct.
Which I will read to you if you have had a lapse in memory. You knew there was a payment attached every day of you.
No. When my car broke down,
I was frustrated, you know, and we had talked to her.
I don't care if you were frustrated or not. Are you telling me that
she had offered to help me with a car, to get a new car?
Listen to me carefully. What payments were you talking about? Did you buy a new car?
Payments for the car itself to the dealership. Okay. So payments I was making to the car. When I had got a car, I was making payments for that. I wasn't making payments for anything else.
I know you weren't. What I'm asking you is the money that she gave you, she gave you for what?
For a car payment.
On a car. And what kind of a car did you buy?
It was a 2015 Volkswagen.
How much was it?
The car itself was about $20,000.
And did you take out a loan?
No. It was like a buy now, pay here kind of dealership. So we went to the dealership, made the down payment, and then they financed through their bank. I didn't take a loan out through my bank.
Who do you pay for the car?
The dealership.
Okay, that's a car loan.
In a way it was, but not like me going through my bank. I didn't get a loan through my bank. And
I don't care if you got a loan through Pluto. If you have a car that you didn't pay for in cash, that you're making installment car payments on, then you make it to a bank, whether you make it to Bird, whether you make it to me, whether you make it to a financial institution or a pawn shop. It's a loan that you have to pay back.
Correct.
Are you paying it back?
Not anymore. The car was repoed.
When did you buy it?
It was around, I would say, July, August, somewhere around that time.
And when was it repossessed?
It was repossessed back in December.
Okay, so let's go. So you bought the car July, let's say you bought it in August. Did you make September's payment?
To the dealership, yes.
Yes. October?
To the dealership, yes.
November?
No.
December?
No.
Why not?
I had hit a deer in app insurance, so the deductible was going to be like $500 plus like a $500 car payment plus $200 insurance. I couldn't afford it at the time.
Did you have any insurance?
On the car, I did. The insurance was about $200 itself.
Just liability or collision?
It was collision, but as far as the policy goes, there was no like accidental, like if I hit a car or something, even if I had the insurance, there was still going to be a $500 deductible on my end.
You had a deductible. You chose a $500 deductible to keep your payments lower.
Correct.
Now, when did you and the plaintiff break up?
It was around...
Not around.
August, September, more so September.
And you bought the car?
Date of that I bought the car. It was...
So in the summer?
July 15th, actually.
How much money did Ms. Snyder give you as a down payment?
She paid the dealership around $1,800.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was doing electronic repairs at the time.
What are you doing now?
I'm a salesman for DirecTV and AT&T.
You work on salary or commission?
It's hourly and commission.
So you get a check?
Correct.
You want to tell me the circumstances of this $1,800?
We actually went to the car place on July 14th. It was $1,800 for the car and then another $212 for the insurance. I also paid for the first payment on the insurance with Liberty Mutual.
Circumstances of this $1,800?
We actually went to the car place on July 14th. It was $1,800 for the car and then another, I also paid for the first payment on the insurance with Liberty Mutual.
Just let's go. So let me hear about what the circumstances surrounding you paying.
Okay. He actually did have a car. We were driving from his grandmother's house to my house when it broke down. He had a really old car. It was so hard to find the parts that she should have just gotten a new car. So that's why we agreed to help him pay for the car, help pay the down payment.
Who's the we?
We agreed that I would help him. And we had an agreement that he would pay me back.
When?
He would pay me back by the end of the year. It was December 17th would be the last day.
What kind of work do you do?
At the time, I was working at, actually I didn't have a job. I was in between jobs.
How were you supporting yourself during the summer?
I did just have a job. I was working at a fancy pizza place. That's where I was able to save up all the money. The money was actually for college. And so that's why I had it saved up. I actually didn't put it on a credit card. I put it on a debit card. So I didn't have any interest on the payments.
So you had enough money in the bank?
I had $2,000 in my savings, and it pretty much all went to him.
And 6 weeks later, you broke up?
Yeah, we broke up end of August.
That's about 6 weeks?
Yes.
5, 6 weeks. Did you and the defendant ever live together?
No.
You always maintained your own place?
Yes.
What were the circumstances surrounding you breaking up with each other?
He started getting kind of in the car with me once when he would call me if I didn't text him back almost immediately. He didn't like when I went out with my friends. It just got a little bit frustrating, so I decided to end it.
Is that what happened?
I wouldn't put it more so possessive. I mean, she was going out to clubs, having guys over at the clubs with her and her sisters, and I wasn't comfortable with it. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I just wasn't comfortable with things that she was doing.
How much were your car payments?
The car payments were $480 a month, and then for the first 2 months, because of the difference in the down payment that she made wasn't the whole thing towards the down payment, so I paid that out of pocket for the first 2 months.
How much?
It was about $680 for the first 2 months.
So how much money
For the car payment itself, $480.
No, I want to know how much money you put into the car before it was repossessed.
I would say a little over $2,000.
Show me where. Don't give me a whole bunch of junk.
No.
How much money you put into the car before it was repossessed?
I would say
where. Don't give me a whole bunch of junk.
No.
Show me where you put in $2,000. That would have meant about 4 car payments. What is this?
It's the balance on my credit for the car itself.
I just want to see how much you paid. Tell me how much you paid on the car. I see what this says. Balance, highest balance, and the account.
That's what I have paid so far for the car.
You. I'm not talking about her payment of $1,800. Show me where you paid, not her. The highest balance on this car was $15,000. She put in $1,800. You, how much money? You already told me that you only paid September and October. You already told me you only paid September and October. That doesn't come to $2,000.
I don't have anything that I pay. I mean, I have how much the monthly payment for the car is, if you wanted to see that.
You owe $1,900, $1,937. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
It's case number 418 on the calendar in the matter of Copes versus Copes. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat. You're welcome, Judge.
This is your mom.
Yes.
And it is your claim that as a result of her fraudulently using your identity, she's put you in substantial debt, your credit is ruined, and you want her to be responsible for that. That's what the case is about. How old are you, Miss Copes?
I'm 23.
Tell me what you do.
I'm a nanny.
Who do you live with?
I live with my stepmother.
How long have you lived with her?
Often raised me my whole life. I moved back with her when I was 20 years old.
Who had you lived with before you were 20?
My grandmother. And then when I was 17, I was living with my mother.
So until you were 17, you lived with your grandmother?
No. Before that, I was with my stepmom. My stepmom raised me, but I lived with my grandma for a year.
How long in total? You're 23 years old now. During what period of time, say after you were 10, did you live with your mother?
No.
You lived with her for a short time when you were 17?
Yes.
For how long?
For a year. I went to school out in Sacramento with her.
What happened when you were 17?
So I moved homeless, but...
Who was homeless?
Me and my mother. We were staying at her friend's house because me and my dad had got into an altercation.
You and your father?
Yeah. So I ended up moving with my mother. And, you know, I was 17. I really wanted to see my mother, and I wanted to be with her. And, yeah.
Was it during that time that you alleged that your identity was taken when you were 17? And Ms. Copes, you've been convicted of fraud and identity theft. Is that right?
Yes.
How many times?
Once.
When?
2 years ago.
How many counts of identity theft were you charged with?
I don't know, like 3.
Were you incarcerated at any time?
Yes.
For how long?
Years.
And that was 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It's not an answer. Yes is an answer.
Yes.
Now, did you ever open any lines of credit or open any credit cards using your daughter's name?
No.
Did you ever sign a lease, a phone plan, anything using your daughter's name?
No.
Never. Could you show me, please, Ms. Copes, one piece of proof?
I have an eviction notice in my name. Would you like to?
May I see it? Yes.
Sorry. It's a couple papers. And I also have a, sorry.
When's your birthday? So in January of that year, you were 17.
Yeah.
And unable to execute a lease.
I'm not sure what that means.
You were unable to sign a lease. It's a contract.
Yes.
And based upon this lease, is that when you were living with your mother that 1 year?
Yes, it was.
Based upon that, because she didn't pay rent, they...
For 2 years, for a year, I believe.
They gave her a notice to quit. And is that one of the charges that's against your credit?
Yeah, no. I have, Your Honor, I'm in $10,000 in debt. And
I understand that, but...
It's other things, sorry.
So this, although this is an example of her signing your name and your social security number to a lease when you were a minor, which she can't do, what other examples do you have for me? That's enough, by the way, but I'd like to see what other examples you have.
I have bills that she got in my name, like SMUD bills.
What kind of?
A SMUD bill. It's like electricity bill.
Can I see that? Is that for this apartment?
Yeah, but I don't believe this is recently. Because I went to get a restraining order for a kick-out notice because she had my identification and I need to get evidence. And this is the only thing I found was a SMUD bill in my name. And I called them and they said that
What other proof do you...
And they
this
said
is 2012.
And they said that she called in and gave them my social, and they just turned on SMUD.
Can I see the fallout from these bills that you have in your name?
My credit report?
Yes.
This one's probably clearer. I have several of them. Let me give you this one too.
Are you going to school? Do you work?
I'm trying to go back to school right now. I'm a nanny. I nanny for 2 kids.
How long have you worked for that same family?
For a year now.
How much do you earn?
$400 a week.
And you're living with your stepmother?
Yes.
Do you pay her any rent?
Yes, I do.
How much do you pay her?
Right now I'm on Section 8.
$100 a?
$100 a month, and then they pay the rest for me.
Is she in your apartment or you're in her apartment?
I'm in her house.
And Section 8 pays her rent?
Yeah.
So how much do they pay for you?
They pay $800 because the cost of living out there is like $1,300 for a 1-bedroom. And so I was accepted for a housing voucher. And so I was looking for a place. I couldn't find a place, and my stepmother, she just welcomed me in and said that we can go do the process
I would
together.
too. She gets an additional $900 a month, what she used to give you for free, which is to live with her, right?
Yeah. But I was got done with living with
No,
my...
I understand that. I'm just trying to see
Yeah.
whether it's very nice. She raised you. You lived with her and your father.
No, my dad, he's not around.
Was he married to her? Well, you said you lived with him.
Okay, so it was often, me and my dad had a bad relationship. It was really bad. My stepmom, she took me in. She was like, I'm a woman. I need to take care of her. She's becoming a lady. So she's been taking care of me my whole life. And then she's always told me, like, she always tried to keep me away from my mom because she knew what was going on. But I was so happy with my mom. But her and my dad are not together. She just took me in as a daughter.
What is this auto sales?
Oh, so that I tried to go get a car because I wanted to do Uber and stuff, and I couldn't get a car
Because of your credit history.
Yeah, at first I thought it was due to me being young, but I really found out that my credit was really messed up when I went to go open a bank account for Chase, and they just closed my account and told me that I couldn't get a bank account with them due to my credit. And so I went on credit report and tried to figure out what's going on, and seeing bunch of these bills building up to the point that the credit billers collected it.
Was any of this debt reduced to judgment, do you know?
Not sure.
You don't know if it was reduced to a judgment. Did anybody advise you how to rebuild your credit?
No. No,
I mean, you're young.
I don't know I really don't know none of this stuff. I just started realizing that credit is your life.
It is. Unless you be lucky enough to be able to pay for everything in cash, which there are very few people who are able to do that. When you get paid by your employer now, $400 a week, what do you do with it?
I save it. I put it in because I have a prepaid card, so I go and I just...
They refuse to open an account for you? Yeah. Okay. I mean, this is one of those, you had me at hello when your mother testified that she never signed anything on your behalf when you were underage. That's a lie. You signed a lease for her when she was underage. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $5,000. We're done here.
Thank you.
You, sir. Okay. You and Miss Snyder were dating.
Yes.
You were having some trouble with a car, and you needed a loan.
No, I
for
never.
You didn't have a car.
Correct.
And you needed a car.
Correct.
And you had that discussion with the plaintiff. The fact that you needed a car because you were dating.
Correct.
You needed a car to get to work, take care of your daily business, make a living.
Correct.
All true. Now, when you had that conversation, right?
Correct.
What credit card did she have access to? Do you know?
It was her bank card.
Okay. So you were dating sufficiently to know that she had money on a bank card that she could take a loan out on.
I don't know anything about a loan.
No, that she could take, not you. We're not talking about you. Pay careful attention. Put on your listening ears.
Buy a car.
Yeah, she had a bank card that she could get cash from, but she had to pay it because you get a bill at the end of that, unless it's a savings account or a checking account where you have money.
Correct.
And you were aware of the fact, sir, that the money that she was giving you was coming from money off this card that had a monthly payment. I'm looking at your answer, so just remember, you swore to an answer.
Correct.
Which I will read to you if you have had a lapse in memory. You knew there was a payment attached. Every gave you.
No. When my car broke down, I was frustrated, you know, and we had talked to her.
I don't care if you were frustrated or not. Are you telling me that...
She had offered to help me with a car, to get a new car.
Listen to me carefully. What payments were you talking about? Did you buy a new car?
Payments for the car itself to the dealership. Okay. So payments I was making to the car. When I had got a car, I was making payments for that. I wasn't making payments for anything else.
I know you weren't. What I'm asking you is the money that she gave you, she gave you for what?
For a car payment.
On a car.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of a car did you buy?
It was a 2015 Volkswagen.
How much was it?
The car itself was about $20,000.
And did you take out a loan?
No. It was like a buy now, pay here kind of dealership. So we went to the dealership, made the down payment, and then they financed through their bank. I didn't take a loan out through my bank.
Who do you pay for the car?
The dealership.
Okay, that's a car loan.
In a way it was, but not like me going through my bank. I didn't get a loan through my bank. And
I don't care if you got a loan through Pluto. If you have a car that you didn't pay for in cash, that you're making installment car payments on, then you make it to a bank, whether you make it to Bird, whether you make it to me, whether you make it to a financial institution or a pawn shop. It's a loan that you have to pay back.
Correct.
Are you paying it back?
Not anymore. The car was repoed.
When did you buy it?
It was around, I would say, July, August, somewhere around that time.
And when was it repossessed?
It was repossessed back in December.
So let's go. So you bought the car July, let's say you bought it in August. Did you make September's payment?
To the dealership, yes.
Yes. October?
To the dealership, yes.
November?
No.
December?
No.
Why not?
I had hit a deer and app insurance, so the deductible was going to be like $500 plus like a $500 car payment plus $200 insurance. I couldn't afford it at the time.
Did you have any insurance?
On the car, I did. The insurance was about $200 itself.
Just liability or collision?
It was collision, but as far as the policy goes, there was no like accidental, like if I hit a car or something, even if I had the insurance, there was still going to be a $500 deductible on my end.
You had a deductible. You chose a $500 deductible to keep your payments lower.
Correct.
Now, when did you and the plaintiff break up?
It was around...
Not around.
August, September, more so September.
And you bought the car?
Date of that I bought the car. It was...
Also in the summer?
July 15th, actually.
How much money did Ms. Snyder give you as a down payment?
She paid the dealership around $1,800.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was doing electronic repairs at the time.
What are you doing now?
I'm a salesman for DirecTV and AT&T.
You work on salary or commission?
It's hourly and commission.
So you get a check?
Correct.
You want to tell me the circumstances of this $1,800?
We actually went to the car place on July 14th. It was $1,800 for the car and then another $212 for the insurance. I also paid for the first payment on the insurance with Liberty Mutual.
Circumstances of this $1,800?
We actually went to the car place on July 14th. It was $1,800 for the car and then I also paid for the first payment on the insurance with Liberty Mutual.
Just let's go. So let me hear about what the circumstances surrounding you paying.
Okay. He actually did have a car. We were driving from his grandmother's house to my house when it broke down. He had a really old car. It was so hard to find the parts that she should have just gotten a new car. So that's why we agreed to help him pay for the car, help pay the down payment.
Who's the we?
We agreed that I would help him. And we had an agreement that he would pay me back.
When?
He would pay me back by the end of the year. It was December 17th would be the last day.
What kind of work do you do?
At the time, I was working actually I didn't have a job. I was in between jobs.
How were you supporting yourself during the summer?
I did just have a job. I was working at a fancy pizza place. That's where I was able to save up all the money. The money was actually for college. And so that's why I had it saved up. I actually didn't put it on a credit card. I put it on a debit card. So I didn't have any interest on the payments.
So you had enough money in the bank?
I had $2,000 in my savings, and it pretty much all went to him.
And 6 weeks later, you broke up?
Yeah, we broke up end of August.
That's about 6 weeks?
Yes.
5, 6 weeks. Did you and the defendant ever live together?
No.
You always maintained your own place?
Yes.
What were the circumstances surrounding you breaking up with each other?
He started getting kind of in the car with me once when he would call me if I didn't text him back almost immediately. He didn't like when I went out with my friends. It just got a little bit frustrating, so I decided to end it.
Is that what happened?
I wouldn't put it more so possessive. I mean, she was going out to clubs, having guys over at the clubs with her and her sisters, and I wasn't comfortable with it. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I just wasn't comfortable with things that she was doing.
How much were your car payments?
The car payments were $480 a month, and then for the first 2 months, because of the difference in the down payment that she made wasn't the whole thing towards the down payment, so I paid that out of pocket for the first 2 months.
How much?
It was about $680 for the first 2 months.
No. How much money?
For the car payment itself, $480.
No, I want to know how much money you put into the car before it was repossessed.
I would say a little over $2,000.
Show me where. Don't give me a whole bunch of junk.
No.
How much money you put into the car before it was repossessed?
I would say
where. Don't give me a whole bunch of junk.
No.
Show me where you put in $2,000. That would have meant about 4 car payments. What is this?
It's the balance on my credit for the car itself.
I just want to see how much you paid. Tell me how much you paid on the car. I see what this says. Balance, highest balance, and the account.
That's what I have paid so far for the car.
You. I'm not talking about her payment of
No, that's my
$1,800.
payment.
Show me where you paid, not her. The highest balance on this car was $15,000. She put in $1,800. You, how much money? You already told me that you only paid September and October. You already told me you only paid September and October. That doesn't come to $2,000.
I don't have anything that I pay. I mean, I have how much the monthly payment for the car is, if you wanted to see that.
You owe $1,900. $1,937. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Yes, case number 45 on the calendar in the matter of Hartman versus Teal. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mrs. Hartman, is this your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this your daughter or your stepdaughter?
Stepdaughter.
The complaint that I have, and I'll speak primarily to Mrs. Hartman, daughter used a credit card of yours. You want her to pay the charges on the credit card, and also that you let her borrow your car, and she let the oil run out in the car, as a result of which the car has engine damage that you want her to pay for. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What was she doing with your credit card?
Well, apparently she was using it at a gas station. Anybody can use the...
How did she get it?
I honestly don't know.
What do you mean you honestly don't know?
She knows where my purse is and where my credit cards are, and she's in and out of the house. So I really don't know.
Well, when for the first time did she use your credit card?
In December of 1990.
December of 1990, when she was 10 years old?
1999.
1299, she used your credit card for the first time. Did you confront her about it?
That was a time that I had allowed her to use it and bring it right back. She was living with me at the time, and it was that as opposed to she needed the money for gas.
When was the next time she used your credit card?
There were 2 times more in December that she used it with my permission, and the express that she was to bring it right back and hand it to me.
Well, did she?
Yes, she did.
Well, what are the charges that you're disputing now?
The charges after she moved out, the beginning of January, the end of December, beginning of January, the charges end of January, and got very excessive charges. And I started looking into those charges, and they were at gas stations that neither my husband or I go to.
That was in January?
Yes, January and February.
Are those the charges, January and February of 2000, that you
Right.
are complaining about? How many bills did you get?
2.
Well, why didn't you, after the first one, cut off the credit card?
Well, I didn't know my credit card was missing because I only used it at gas stations, and in the wintertime, I let my husband fill the gas tank.
What I'm asking you is, if you see somebody is using a credit card of yours in an unauthorized fashion, and you're getting credit card bills that you don't know anything, have my credit card? And if you don't have your credit card, which I assume you didn't, because your daughter had it, then you call the credit card company, you say, I want to cease all further purchases on this credit card. Why didn't you do that?
I didn't know until quite a bit later, after the charges had started, because the closing date is the 25th, and the charges started after the 25th.
For how many months?
Almost exactly 1 month. About the 25th of January to the 25th of February.
So it's just that 1 month that you're complaining about?
Yes.
And what were the total charges for that?
That was $242 approximately.
Okay, tell me about the credit card.
She had given it to me to use because I had moved out. I paid bi-weekly, and she had let me use it for gas. She had given it to me. He was there when she gave it to me to use for gas, to get back and forth to work. And I was at school during the night, and she gave it to me to use for gas, to go back and forth.
So she gave it to you?
Yes.
Daughter says you gave her the credit card to use for gas.
Yes, in December, like I had said, there were 3 times that I had allowed her to use the card.
So you gave it to her in December, and evidently she didn't give it back to you at some point when she moved out.
Either that or she took it from my wallet. I don't know which one.
Let me see the bills that you're talking about.
These.
When you moved out, where did you go?
About 20 minutes from her house.
Who did you move in with?
Him.
What is he to you?
He's my best friend.
Just your friend?
Yes.
And the gas that you're talking about is the gas from Citgo?
That's correct.
Citgo 7-Eleven is where you fill your car up with gas?
Yes.
Sometimes you get things other than gas there, I assume.
I think once I got a pack of cigarettes.
On the 23rd of February, there were 2 charges, one for $6.62, one for $10, and then on the 25th, there were another 2 charges, one $8.35 and one $19.98. Let me see the rest, because I had kids too. You have any idea what I'm talking about?
No.
Let me give this to you. You and your friend both need gas in your car. So you say, let's pull up together. I'll use my credit card. You give me the cash. What are you looking at me like that for?
Because he never used a credit card. He
I'm
never
not saying
drove my
this,
car.
friend. I went through that scam a lot until I figured out what it was. Let's see what else we have on the same date. According to this, on the 13th of February, you put in $16 worth of gas in your car. And then again, on the 14th of February, you put in $17. You must have been doing a lot of driving. Now you understanding what I'm meaning? Hmm?
Yes.
Then on the 14th, there's another $10 gas in your car. You just filled your car up with gas and you drove around the block a couple hundred times. Then you put another $10.
No.
Then on, just a second, then on the 15th, you're putting in $20. Then on the 16th, $12. On the 16th, $15. Then on the 19th, you had a big day. You put in gas. You must have been driving a lot. I'm surprised that you had time to sleep. On February 19th, you put in $15. On the 19th, you put in $20. And on the 19th, you put in...
Hometown a lot.
Not on the same day.
No, but I did use other people's cars, and I put gas in their cars. I will admit to that.
Ms. Hartman, so this is what you do. You stop the credit card. You don't sue your daughter. Do you understand?
Yes,
you don't sue your 20-year-old. You call up and you say, somebody has my card, and I don't want there to be any more charges on my card.
I honestly believed I had that at home because I have left a card in with my pants before.
You don't follow me. Your daughter is clearly using your credit card, not using it, abusing it. Let us say you gave it to her in December and said, this is for you to use, and then you get these bills. And as a parent, you say, I know what my kid's doing. She's scamming me. Either she's getting the cash from her friends, she's getting the cash from her boyfriend, she's putting gas in her boyfriend's car, she's putting gas in friends' cars. I mean, she could also be shopping for groceries there, too, because kids do that also. Now, that may have been outside the scope of your permission, but what you do is you do not sue her. You don't sue her. She's 19 years old. You say, don't do it again. I'm cutting off the card.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Betsy and Donald Hartman are suing Betsy's daughter, Lisa Teal, for unauthorized charges on their car engine.
Let's talk about not putting oil in your car. You let her borrow your car.
Yes.
Go ahead.
She and some friends were driving around town, and they were talking about the car making some kind of a knocking sound. My husband asked Lisa if she had checked the oil, and apparently Lisa said yes. Well, he checked it after they had left the car there, and the car was over 4 quarts low, and that pretty well toasted the engine. That was the cause of the knocking. It was getting more and more, but they continued to drive it.
So you took the car away from her?
Yes, because she was supposed to take care of the car, not let anyone. I wanted her desperately to finish school and to have a job. But she was only to drive to school, to her job, and quick errands. And this driving a lot she was talking about, a lot out of town, was not part of the agreement of borrowing the car.
Your Honor, I got something to say about the oil thing.
I'm dying to hear you.
Oh, God.
Okay, about the oil thing, I put oil in the car. We had an oil leak in the car in the first place.
Did you tell your daughter to watch the oil?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Very specifically.
Shh, just a second. If you told her to watch the oil, that means you've been having trouble with the oil.
No,
No.
Oh, of course. People don't watch oil anymore unless they have
responsibility that she was
You're
to take care of the car.
absolutely 100% right. And you know how I know that you're absolutely 100% right? I will go to a story about my irresponsibility when my parents gave me a car. And believe me, I was not 19 years old or 20 years old. I was in my 30s, and my father gave me his car because he wanted to know that I was driving a safe car to and from work, and this was a very good car. So I thought until I got finished with it. And when I got finished with it, they had to come with a flatbed and take it out of the garage because I just thought that that noise would go away. Now, I did not consider myself a totally irresponsible human, supporting 2 children, you know, but I was irresponsible with the car, for which I apologized, and I don't think that they let me borrow another one of their cars again. But, Miss Hartman, they didn't sue me. They didn't sue me.
There was a lot of history of irresponsibility with my daughter, and I've tried very much to help her with everything over the years.
Eventually, she will grow up. She will pass 20. If she's lucky and you let her, she's going to live until she's 30. And then maybe she'll come to terms with the fact that she's supposed to act like a responsible person. What I'm saying to you, Mrs. Hartman, is you don't sue her.
She has been responsible for basically, I have paid emotionally, physically, and health-wise for many, many thousands of dollars of things being stolen from the house. The only reason for the car was it was so important to me that she would finish high school.
Did she?
No, unfortunately she didn't.
So what are you doing now?
Right now, I'm looking for another job.
So you're not doing anything is what you're doing?
I just recently lost my job.
What kind of work were you doing?
Fast food.
Listen, children sometimes disappoint us. That's part of being a parent. You don't resolve an issue with a teenager by suing them. Time's going to come, you're going to have to grow up and be responsible. You know, if you had a credit card and you abused it, you're supposed to say, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I mean it.
I am sorry for it.
Okay. Ms. Hartman, is it possible for me to make a determination with regard to the credit card? I believe she had your permission to use the credit card for gas, and it's impossible for me to determine how much she abused and how much she did not. I can't make a determination about the car. You let her borrow the car, she was using the car, she may have been irresponsible with the car and not taken good care of it, and you don't give her another car. That's it. The complaint that I've read, you and the defendant knew each other?
Yeah, he asked me to marry him.
Oh, just a second. You were friends? Did you work at the same place?
No, we did not. We met, he was a MTC bus driver, and we met on one of his layovers, and we had a relationship. He was my boyfriend.
You were supposed to have some surgery to move into a friend of his home, and the agreement was that he would pay the expenses.
Right. His friend was also a bus driver for the city of Minneapolis, that it would be a nice place for me to recuperate. I had total knee replacement surgery on my left knee, and I have to have it on my right knee. He agreed to take care of me, and I didn't have to worry about anything until this knee replacement, and I was on my feet.
So you moved into this friend's apartment?
Right. And I had surgery the very next day.
And he paid the rent?
For February, yes, ma'am.
And then he left?
In March, he totally disappeared. He had never done this before. He treated me like a queen, and I'm freaking out. I'm immobile. I had total knee replacement surgery. There was no food. He took the cell phone with him. He left on payday. I didn't know where he was or what was going on. I'm in a continuous passive motion machine for 4 to 6 hours a day. I had to call my friend Michael to come over. I had nothing in the house. I didn't know what happened to him. I found out later on that he had a problem with substance abuse.
Your lawsuit says that he should pay the next month's rent because he promised that he would take care of you.
Right.
So you're suing him for $500.
Right.
Mr. Trimble, or until she recuperated from her surgery. Did you agree to do that?
Yes, I did.
And you paid for February's rent?
Yes.
And then you left?
I had some problems myself. I had totaled out my car. I had to have some days off from work, so I really wasn't receiving any money most of February. I went out and I did go drinking a couple of days. Didn't return. The night I returned 2 days later, she wouldn't let me in. She wouldn't let me in. She's cussing me out. I had to go to my ex-wife's house because I had some work clothes there. When I get there, my wife and ex-wife and our 2 children there, she hit the record button. She's a crack binge and don't let me in the house. After that, I went to work 4 o'clock in the morning. I have a manager that has to check me out because a friend called.
Okay.
Said I was on drugs.
Miss Adams,
yes.
Did there come a time when he went out on some sort of a binge in
Yes,
early
ma'am.
March? And did he come home after that binge?
3 days later.
Oh, okay. Just answer my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Came home 3 days later.
Right.
And when he came home 3 days later, did he let himself into the apartment? Or did
No,
he
I
knock
didn't even. I was in the bed. Mark answered the door. I didn't even know he was there. Mark came in and knocked on my bedroom door, and I didn't let him in.
That's a lie.
No, it's not.
Mark didn't come to the door first.
Mark came to the door, to my bedroom door, knocked on the door, and said that Sam was here. He hasn't been here for 3 days. How could he treat you like this?
I don't want to hear all that stuff. So what you're telling me is you didn't answer the door.
I did not answer the door.
Yes, you did.
Mark answered.
Right.
Was that the only time you tried to go back to the house, sir?
The next day, the following day after I went to work, she's in front of the bus company cussing me out, just calling me all kinds of names, disrespecting me. And Mark took her someplace he said to let her cool off. He said to come back to the apartment later on, and we talked. Hey, I did go back there.
Who did you talk with?
I talked with Mark because she wasn't there.
Mr. Trimble, it is apparent to me that the 2 of you entered into an agreement. You were going to live together while she was recuperating from her surgery. Before she went back to work, you were going to cover the expenses on your home. Based on that, she moved in with you, and you have an obligation to fulfill that verbal contract. Verbal contract was, in this case, a relatively inexpensive one. It was another $500 towards the rent. Not terrible, not tragic, Mr. Trimble.
But am I supposed to accept all this verbal abuse?
Well,
am I saying I'm on drugs?
Listen, Mr. Trimble, what did you expect her, put that down, what did you expect her to do? Throw you a dinner when you disappear for 3 days?
No, I expect to get in if I'm paying rent.
Find that she locked you out. If you had an agreement with Mark to pay rent, you could have called the police and said, I paid rent for this month and I'm entitled to come inside. This is my home. You could have done that. But what did you expect her to do? I mean, here you are. You're planning a future together. She is incapacitated as a result of recent surgery. You, for whatever reason, go off for 2-3 days on a binge, and then you come home. She is angry.
Okay, grant that.
She is angry. Somehow men think that, you got to understand, he's just a guy, Sometimes those things happen. Well, she wasn't prepared to do that, but that does not excuse you from abiding by the contract that you entered into, although a verbal one, to pay the rent. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's it.
Why is that excused? You may... It's case number 312 on the calendar in the matter of Gebeline versus Plecunas.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Ms. Gebeline, would you please tell Officer Byrd what kind of 1997 Lexus you have so he can look it up in his book?
ES 300.
And when and from whom did you purchase it?
I purchased it in November from...
November of last year?
2014.
And you have a bill of sale for it?
I don't. I have the title.
I know you have the title. How much did you pay for it in 2014?
$1,500.
Then why in the world would you spend $5,000 to fix it?
It wasn't supposed to be $5,000, Your Honor.
I don't care if it's supposed to, because that's what this is about. You say you paid him thousands of dollars to fix a car that you paid $1,500 for. He has an equally ridiculous counterclaim because he says not only did you pay him money, but you owe him another $4,000.
That's not how much it is, Your Honor. That's not how much she owes me, Your Honor.
$3,850 is what you say here.
That's also for me and everybody else around me.
Listen, I get regularly harassed. How much do you claim she owes you in addition to what she paid you?
She owes me, Your Honor, another $1,350 for the work that was done to the car.
$1,350 in addition. And how much did she pay you altogether?
$1,700, Your Honor.
What year is it again?
It's 1997.
1997. That she paid $1,500 for in November of 2014.
The person that sold her the...
Listen to me. I didn't ask you anything. Yeah. We are. 1997 Lexus 300 ES.
1997. 300. $1,800.
$1,800. Thank you. So let's understand each other. Unless this car does something really terrific, like it massages you when you drive it, I don't see spending $1,500 for a car that wasn't running because you had it towed.
No, it was running, Your Honor, for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks?
Perfectly.
So it was not running. So you paid $1,500, then it stopped running, so you didn't cut your losses. You decided to spend $100 to fix it. He said, well, when I started taking it apart, I noticed there were all kinds of other things that were wrong with it. She paid me $1,700, and she still didn't get a car back that was drivable. When she drove the car out, Mr. Plecunas, did she drive it out on her own steam, or did it have to be towed?
From my place? Yes. She drove it out on her own. She didn't give me enough time to test drive the car, make sure everything was good. She came directly there with her daughter, took the car, drove it home. I followed her across town just to make sure everything was all right because we didn't even have a chance to...
That's a month later.
I didn't have the money to get it towed, Your Honor.
Oh, no.
It was sitting in my parking lot for...
I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe that. You have your phone with you?
I do.
Great. I want to see a phone call that you made, go back into your records, that you made to Mr. Plecunas on April 14th.
Telling him text messages, Your Honor.
On what date?
April 14th.
I'd like to see it.
Yep.
Then we're okay.
Sanch Bonet, step forward.
Kyle Huff is suing his ex-girlfriend, Sarah Sanch Bonet, for the cost of an iPhone and a plane ticket to Austin.
Mr. Huff, where did you meet the defendant?
I met her in Los Angeles at a steakhouse.
At the bar?
I was at the bar. I go out by myself. I travel a lot. I'm on the road. Like every week I'm in a different city. Vegas.
And where do you live?
I live in Los Angeles.
This is what the case is about. It's a relatively simple case. Mr. Huff, you purchased several things in a very short period of time after having met the defendant, who clearly you were smitten with.
Yes.
The first thing that you purchased for her was an iPhone.
Yes.
And that was clearly a gift.
Yes.
And you purchased that on what date, sir?
I purchased the original one on September 14th.
And on what date is your birthday?
My birthday is August 4th.
So you knew her a month.
Yeah.
And you sent her the iPhone because she had a different kind of phone. You wanted to be able able to communicate with her on FaceTime? I don't know. I don't care.
I want to FaceTime her, basically.
You bought it, mail it to her?
No, she was in person with me when I purchased it.
Okay, and you gave it to her?
Yes.
And then the next level of iPhone came out. And on what date was that?
September 25th.
And you bought her one of those?
I bought 2 for myself, and I didn't know what storage size I wanted. I had like a 64 gig and 128.
I don't care.
Yeah,
You bought one for her?
Yeah.
On September 25th. And you are suing her, not for the upgraded model, but for the first one that you bought for her, because it is your claim that she was supposed to return that one for a restocking fee.
She was just supposed to return it.
But she had used it already.
Yeah, but they have a return policy.
Writing someplace that after you use it and put your phone numbers in it and everything else, you could just take it back and say, I don't want it anymore?
That's generally everybody's return policy.
What?
In retail.
Oh, I don't know that.
Well.
I'm not in retail, so, and that's your burden. So right now you bought her 2 phones.
Correct.
What did you do, by the way, with the first phone?
Your Honor,
is not an answer. What did you do with the first phone?
I returned the phone.
You returned it, and where did you have them credit the amount of that phone?
It's back to his credit card, and I've given him the reference number several times.
Where's the receipt?
Great. Just a second. Can I see that, please?
Absolutely.
With my credit card number.
Here you are, Your Honor.
May I see it? Do you have your wallet?
Yes.
Take out your Visa?
Oh, no, I don't, actually. I put it in my bag. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have a bank statement, so.
Well, your bank statement wouldn't necessarily reflect that at this time because it's less than a month.
I just took it out.
And you're telling me that you returned it and put it on his Visa?
Yes.
Great. Then we're finished with the iPhone. The next thing that you're suing her for is a plane ticket. You purchased 2 plane tickets. They were gifts, clearly gifts to her. After she got, according to what I read, she said, I didn't get a great feeling, and I didn't want to take the second trip. When did you tell him you didn't want to take the second trip with him?
I told him 2 weeks before the trip that I felt uncomfortable and that he had enough time to return the flight, at which point he told me he could no longer get a refund and to go ahead and use the flight.
That's a lie. I told you October 4th. You broke up with me October 4th.
Don't talk to her. That's not what you're here for.
She broke up with me October 4th. I have text messages of the breakup. You know, I asked her why, because I felt like she was going to break up before that.
I don't care.
Okay.
The airline ticket clearly was a gift to her.
To come visit me, come hang out with me.
That's okay, but it was clearly a gift to her.
She told me she was going to pay me back, though. I sent her text messages. Okay.
Just a second. I would like to see proof the airline ticket.
I called her after the initial text message, so.
Well, did you tell him you were going to pay him for the ticket?
Absolutely not. I told him he had time to return it because I didn't feel like...
Well, then let me ask you this question. Where was the trip supposed to be?
Austin, Texas.
Is that where he was going to be?
Yes.
Why'd you still take the flight?
I'm going to just dismiss your whole case because you're annoying. Your vibe was probably a good one.
Judge Judy.
Who do you know in Austin, Texas?
I didn't know anyone there.
So what did you do with the ticket?
I'd already taken time off work, and he told me to use the ticket, so I just kind of explored on my own.
What did you do in Austin, Texas?
Took a tour, went bar hopping, just kind of had a mini vacation.
How much was the ticket?
$201.20.
Anything else? Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $201. That wasn't the arrangement. The arrangement was you're supposed to go to Austin, Texas with him. If you said, and I'm not going to go to Austin, Texas, that's one thing. I would have said, listen, that was your choice. You paid for these tickets. She didn't want to go. She's under no obligation to go. But you can't go bar hopping on your nickel. I think that that's unreasonable. You understand that, right? $201. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.